Welcome back to another episode of Master Random, the podcast. I am your host, Boo Ada, and this is technically the first episode of 2021. 3 months in, and time just passes really quickly. I have so much things stacking on top of each other in my life, and the podcast kind of took a back seat. And even after I recorded this episode, the post-production took a while just because I have to make sure that my priorities are in line before I take care of the things that I love, such as this podcast. I got a bunch. Listen to the journals. You can hear the things that kind of amounted in my life up to this point, and things that I'm extremely excited about and have put copious amount of time into making sure that when the time comes, it is absolutely perfect. That being said, I'm excited to introduce my next guest on the show, Ray Gibson. He is a longtime talk show host here on Guam. In my eyes, he is the godfather of modern talk show radio. And for me to have him on the show is completely surreal. Even when I think about it, I was like, wow, he was sitting in my studio and we were talking, and he was on the other side of the microphone, and we had an awesome conversation. It's how do you even explain it? It's when I first started this podcast, I had met him, introduced myself to him at a restaurant when I saw him, and I felt like I had to do it. And I told him that I was either starting the podcast or had just started the podcast. And in my mind, I wasn't thinking like one day I'm going to get this guy on my show. I thought it was maybe impossible, right? When I started the show, I didn't even think I was credible enough to even do a talk show. But now we're here, and for this conversation to happen and for it to continue on in the future with future episodes, I'm extremely stoked about it. So before I go and lose my words to my thoughts, without further ado, enjoy my conversation with Ray Gibson. Check it out, everyone.
We're lucky at the shop. You know, my parent company is iConnect.
Yeah.
So
they
iConnect. Yeah. So
they give you guys
fat pipe.
Right,
I got an ultra fat pipe, and so I've got multiple streams going out, audio, video, 3 stations. So
and zero lag is what I've noticed on your show. Is like I don't think it's anything on the Facebook stream, even on the website.
Yeah,
it's super clean, and it's
Right. Well, that's I got really good software that does that, and a very attentive software genius in Florida. And so at 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm going on the air, it's still afternoon where he's at. So if there is a problem, or if there's something I need to tweak, he can tunnel in with TeamViewer or something like that.
Is that how you're tied into like national media?
National media. Well, we got a bunch of different ways to do it, and one of them is that I've got encoders in the States. Mm-hmm. So all of our stateside programming comes in via these encoders. Again, real time. There's barracks units, APT codecs, and things like that we can control bidirectionally. I can control them in the States. They can come and do control on my side if their techs need to come in. And that was one of the things that I discovered getting back into radio into talk radio after I'd been out of it for so long.
It's almost as if the technology completely evolved.
It left over when I wasn't looking at it. I went to a convention and everything is digital. Everything is video. Even all the radio guys are moving in the same direction because it opens up other channels for the other opportunities for exploitation of the feed, right? So back in the olden days, we said, okay, we make one feed and it goes to a transmitter. In 2021, I make one feed and it goes to radio.com. It goes to TuneIn. It goes, Alexa's got our feed. And that's just on websites and all these stream players and the apps. And then, with the video side, the only thing that's preventing us from adding more video channels is the fact that you've got just the major players. You got Twitter, you got YouTube, you got Facebook. IG will do live feeds from time to time, but it's not really formalized for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, even the format of IG, right? It doesn't really support live streaming in that respect.
Well, and I've got, tell me what your bit rate is. I can match the bit rate. Tell me what kind of encoding you want, what kind of compression you got. We can do all of that.
Can you just tilt up, raise?
Oh,
pan up, tilt up. Sorry.
tilt it up. Wait.
Yeah,
we don't have the audio. We don't have those. What are those NDR cameras? The ones that you can control from the master computer.
The ones at the radio station.
Me now? It's me.
They're just they're gamer cameras.
Yeah.
They're literally gamer cameras. They cost $69 each. And they shoot out high def, and they haven't had any problems with them at all.
Yeah.
They're sweet little rigs. You should come by and take a look.
Yeah, I really do. I'm interested in seeing your whole setup because you have it attached to your
yeah. Well, it's a contraption. They wanted to sell me a contraption that puts it kind of over here in a fancy way, and I said, man, I can make that at Home Depot. So I went to Home Depot literally and got a couple of things that I could screw into an adapter, and I couldn't get the angle right. And I thought, I'm going to have to take this to a mechanic shop and bend it. And then I looked outside in the parking lot. The parking lot's got these little stoppers for the little bumpers for the cars, so they know where to stop. And they've got these holes in them that were the perfect size. So I stick the pipe in there. I stick the piece of metal, and then I could bend it to exactly the degree that I wanted at exactly the spot that I wanted. This is cool. It saved me $100 going to a mechanic shop.
So there's these guys that are building a fence at my house, and they're bending rebar. Yeah. So it was a 2x4, and then it was a plate at the end with 3 rebars in a triangle like this, and he just sticks the rebar in, and he just bends it with a post using it as leverage. I'm like,
well, think about
genius.
They built the PDN building with that kind of technology. All the high rises that we've got in Truman. There's machines that you can buy that you tell them what the pattern is, and it will feed rebar into it and click, tick, 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 bend it any way you want to.
Right.
But they didn't have that here in the 70s when the Hilton was going up. They didn't have that when we were doing the PIC towers.
It was all still savage and
savage. Yes, 5 guys leaning on something that cuts the rebar.
All right. I don't know if you remember. Maybe like 3-4 years ago, I approached you over at Pokey Fry. You remember? Okay. Yeah. And I introduced myself to you, and I think I just started my podcast, and I told you about it and stuff, and then you had mentioned like you going back. You're like, I'm working on coming back into radio, and before we go into like started pushing into that story, like what got you into it in the first place? Have you always been sort of this personable person, and you're able to work a crowd and hold a conversation and hold thought, or is this something that?
So I was a nerd in high school.
Okay,
king of the nerds. I always thought I was cooler.
Sports at all?
Oh, no? Tennis. Okay, tennis, but not that good. I ran track in senior year, and I wasn't that good. And I was, like I said, thought I was cooler than I really was. But I always wanted to be in radio. So your parents and my parents go back 1,000 years, and so with my old man did radio and television at KUAM in the 50s and the 60s.
Okay.
And he developed a name for himself. Every once in a while, somebody will call. One of the older callers will call up and refer to me as Bill. They'll call me Bill. That's my dad's name.
Okay.
He was Bill Gibson.
And he's just so used to hearing you because as a child,
same voice. Yeah. Pop and I have the same voice. It was amazing.
Yeah, as a child, I used to watch my grandfather put it on the Weather Channel. Not even look at the TV and just listen to you talk.
Yeah.
And that was like back in the 90s, mid 90s to late 90s. So
I got into radio. I was hanging out at my grandmother's store right down the street from where this podcast is being produced, called Mariana Sales. The Serena building is on that property now. A guy named Harv Angel, the tattoo guy, sold advertising to Mariana Sales, and he worked at K Stereo, which was literally, in the jungle in Barragata Heights. And I said, "Golly, I listen to your radio station all the time. You got any openings?" He says, "We always have openings in radio. Come on by." And they did an audition, and I didn't suck. And they said, "Okay, we're going to start you weekend overnights." And it didn't hurt that my father was Bill Gibson either. And so it was weekend overnights there, weekend overnights at KUAM for a long time.
What was your show catered to, or
Just, I know you cuss on this podcast every once in a while.
I
So here's the thing. This
on the coming back, I'm trying to be more mature about everything.
Okay. Yeah, but in the vernacular, the theme of the program is don't fuck up.
Okay.
Okay, that's just make sure that the transmitter is still working and the needles are always moving.
Say whatever the hell you want.
Or don't.
Or don't.
K-stereo in the late 70s, early 80s. People just want to hear music in the middle of the night. And, and radio is unique, I think, or not so unique. There's professions where you can get away with it, but you always want to progress to the next best shift. You always want to earn the extra dollar, and there's a lot of places in broadcasting.
Is that like time slots?
Oh yeah, yeah. Listen, weekend overnights is the worst shift in radio. Except it's the best shift in radio because you can make mistakes, and I made a lot of mistakes, and you learn from your mistakes, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then you go, okay, I think good enough to move to late nights. Okay, and now I'm good enough to move to afternoons or middays, and then afternoons, and the progression works like this. First words I ever learned in broadcasting were, "I'm sorry, he doesn't work here anymore." Somebody is always quitting, getting fired, transitioning, something. So there are a lot of opportunities, but the best slots go to the guys with the most experience, and you build your experience not just on the air, but you build your experience doing stand-ups, going, and nobody wants to be the guy that does the stand-up and the introductions, at the ghetto bar down the street.
Right.
I always did that. I did every gig that I could get.
MC Ray?
I still do it. There's a bunch of people, you see me up on stage, there's about a 90% chance I'm doing that gig for free because it helps me think on the fly.
For sure.
And so what I'm doing on the stage, that equals what I can get away with and what I can do on the air.
It's like practice, right? So before I started this podcast, I'm very introverted, or I wouldn't say super introverted, but I never really expressed the way I think a lot, even at all, to people, and let alone do a podcast and do so. So I had to use talking to people at the bars as practice. Just go out, to light up a cigarette and just spark a conversation with somebody I never met. And it was the best learning process for me to be comfortable of bringing someone in who I've never met before, even had held
broadcast secret. You steal their lives. And you make them your own. People live vicariously through us, but frankly, we live vicariously through everybody else. There's a ton of stories that I could tell you that I'll make it sound like it happened to me. Foxhole in Vietnam, whatever. It's because I was talking to a guy at the old London Square pub about that 25 years ago. So you pick up their attitudes, you pick up their stories, and find a way to make them your own. And that all helps build, on a pile of what eventually becomes your personality. Eventually becomes your character. Right. And, over, 40 years I've been in broadcasting now. I think mine has changed over the years. I listened to tapes from when I was at K57, and they sound different, obviously, than what I'm doing now, and they sound different from what I was doing at Power 98 before that, which was different than what I was doing at Hit Radio before that, which was different than what I was doing on 610 back when AM radio was the thing 100 years ago.
Right.
In the last century. So everything, it all becomes a progression. And getting back to, how I got to where I am now is I'm the last man standing. I go back to, just radio greats here on Guam and people that I'm still in awe of. And I'm going, what am I doing on doing morning talk radio on the point? What am I doing with that massive shift? That should be John's gig. That should be Jerry's gig. That should be Harv's gig. That should be Dave Angel's gig, right? But they've all gone and transitioned and done other things. So, my secret to success has basically been to outlast everybody.
Live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right? Exactly. Great quote.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's been fun, and it's afforded me a great lifestyle, and I never look back. I have absolutely no regrets.
Why the hiatus in the first place? Why leave radio?
Well, I didn't technically leave radio. What happened was I'd left Sorensen Media Group after a while. There was a change and I want to say the direction that their management wanted to go. And there were some things that I wanted to stay involved in that I could not under that new regime.
How long were you doing radio before that?
Oh, well,
before that happened?
I was doing talk radio. Must have been 12 years or something like that. And prior to that, X number of years at Hit Radio and about 5 years at KUM. And,
so your thought was already established in the way you want your show to be heard.
Well, and other things that I do. So a little known fact about Ray Gibson is that is that I have management and operation stripes in broadcasting. I have an extra class amateur radio license, which allows me certification into broadcast technology. So a lot of the work that goes into, not all of it, I've got a great backbone of people that I work with that handle the heavy lifting and the infrastructure. But in terms of the systems in the studios and the systems leading right up to the transmitter, I'm responsible for those kinds of things. So promotions can do it. See that again, going back to the beginning in radio. If you talk on the radio real good, great. Right. But do you know how to do the MC's gig over at Cheap Charlie's? Can you handle the Pescador gig? Can you handle the deal, the A Club at the Agana Shopping Center? And can you turn on the generator?
And it's not only to drunk people or celebrating people. It's just to the random person walking by too, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Skip Kids. The Sunshine Kids in Production. That's how old I am. I remember when Terry was doing just the Sunshine Kids in Production. And so you go and you learn from all of those things, but you pick something up along the way in every department in the radio station. And so I was about doing everything I could in the station. And so when it came time for the changes in operations over at Sorensen Media Group, that changed. About the same time, a buddy of mine, running buddy and good friend of the family, Richard and GGU from iConnect, they had some radio properties that they weren't sure what they wanted to do with, and I said, well, I suppose I could run those things for you if you want me to. And
I have a set of skills that you don't really know about.
Yeah. So we took Star 101, which was originally Fun 101. That hardly anybody, and if you heard it, it was by accident. And it was just a little computer in an office and really wasn't doing anything.
And it was just on loop?
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
Boss 104, which was 10-4, morphed into Boss 104. And that one, there's a real spark on that radio station. All signals here, every radio station, all the management, they've all got something, and they've all got this massive potential.
Yeah, I just found out that 104 has 3 stations attached to it.
Yeah.
If you have HD
radio.
Right.
I did that. So I did that. So with Boss, okay, what do we got to do? And this went into all this project and management trees. And at the end of the day, I've got an HD radio station. It's piping out a digital stream of its regular FM signal. And there's 2 other little radio stations on the bottom of it. And it answers a lot of questions and solves a lot of problems for the company. Star 101, I'm in process now of, it's a long process. I've redid the antenna, and we'll now have that station on as a digital station, as an HD station as well. In just a little bit, I've got some killer processing. And for people that don't understand what processing is, it's really simple. If you listen to the sound of your own voice by itself, you'll hate it. But we run it through a couple of compressors, maybe some limiters in here, and all of a sudden this sounds like WNBC in New York City. Everybody sounds awesome on our radio station, and the music always sounds perfect.
Even when you're out of tune, when you speak, you're in tune.
Yeah, because that's the way that technology works. So I've got all of these things. They're all about ready to go. There's just a couple of other links in the process. We were talking about internet and things like that.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, and I'll go back to radio in the late 70s when I first started working at K Stereo, and they hired me for the job. And at the time, Ed Poppy had an office in Hulali, down the street. Sorry, up the street, over there.
This way.
Yeah. And so he had an office in Hulali. I thought this would be cool because Grandma's house is over here. I could walk over to here and do the radio show. I said, okay, where's the studio? He says, in Barragata Heights. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I got a couple of friends that live in Barragata Heights. This would be great. I'll go and hang out with them and then go on the radio. He says, no, it's not quite in Barragata Heights. It's on the other side of the mountain. it's actually
Behind St. Dominic.
Yeah, it's closer to Laddie Heights, actually. And there was no road to St. Dominic's like there is now. There was no road to the church or anything like that. Literally four-wheel drive if you wanted to get in. There were times in the rains where you had to park the car wherever it was and walk in.
Why is that? Why are radio stations like in obscure mountainous places? Or is it just because they're trying to get the
For FM, it's line of sight.
Okay.
Yeah, all FM radio stations sound better, line of sight. There are advantages to having it higher.
No.
And we've got properties up in Barragata Heights, but my preference is to broadcast from Mount Eludum, what's commonly known as Channel 10.
Right.
So I like to broadcast from Channel 10 because it is about the second highest mountain on Guam. So I use less transmitter power in order to get the signal coverage in the north.
But you can choose which tower you want to feed out of.
They're directional. I've only got one tower, and it's not a tall tower, but it's a short tower on top of a high mountain. So we get what's called height gain on top of that, and there's the technology behind that. This is testimony of the great thinkers that we've had in broadcasting before. Channel 10 is called Channel 10 because that's where the Channel 10 repeater for KUAM television was back in the late 50s and early 60s.
It's not the 10th channel that they found over in Menengue. No, to be clear.
No, it's that's where the repeater was when way before you were born, way before I was born. KUAM television, and they broadcast on, I want to say 8, 10, 11, and 16 or something like that. But if you had a television, you go, Channel 8 is playing this show. Click, click, Channel 10 is playing the same show, but it's a little bit snowy because so when they had repeater sites in a bunch of places on the island, that's the way it was done before. Now there's sophisticated new technology that uses the timing from GPS, and I would be able to take the signal, say for Boss 104, and send it by internet down to the south of the island where coverage has always been traditionally bad. Too many mountains in the way that block the signals, and we'd be able to take it off of a modem. And uncompress the signal and sync it up in real time with the GPS timing so that there won't be any shadows. There won't be any fading of the signal as you go from one to the other. And it will allow us to fill in these channels. It's a crazy new digital stuff.
I never really thought of radio and broadcasting like that, but it's starting to make sense. Like when you drive through certain areas and it's like...
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, there it is. We're back.
There's whole spots from Iran right around the corner, right up until you get around Malolo, right up the hill around Malolo, and then you almost lose everybody's signal completely. But you start to make your way out, and pretty soon we're in Malolo, and there's the rest of the Talafofo, and you can start hearing radio stations again. And that's something that has been very difficult for people to overcome.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's technology that will allow us to do that. And then there's old school technology.
So you're feeding the stream digitally.
Yes.
To
another
transmitter to the station, so you can stream it.
So it'd be taking this podcast, and so I'm in real time over here. Man, non-technical people are loving this show. They're digging this right now. It's like, oh my God, this is everything I've ever wanted to know about contemporary radio. Anyways,
I thought you were interviewing Ray Gibson, not talking about radio with him.
Just scroll up a little bit, just move the slider a little bit, and then we'll get to the interesting things, like how it is I can get away with everything that I get away with. But anyway, I'll draw you pictures.
No.
Very cool.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead and paint the picture for us.
Of which one?
Of how it's fed from the digital into.
We stream it to a transmitter, but the transmitter has delay circuits that are built into it. So another secret about radio. So and the way that we're doing it on our station. So if you're listening to me on Boss 104, everything I said was actually about 8 seconds ago. There is a delay, and we delay it to give the HD time to scrunch its signal and unscrunch the signal.
Compile
and that way they come out at the same time. Technically, if we didn't do it that way, if you listened on FM, you press the button and I'm saying this. And then you switch over to HD, and it's me saying what I said 8 seconds ago. So we sync them all up, we catch them all up. And believe it or not, that's not digital technology. I've got an analog piece of equipment that listens to the analog signal and listens to the digital signal and combines them it will figure out where the points are,
reading the waves,
and then digitally slice them all together, and that way, so when you lose the HD signal for whatever reason, the analog signal comes in, but it's in the same place, and most people will know the difference because the HD signal is a lot crisper than the regular analog signal. They both sound good. We process them separately, but the digital signal is just that much more. It's like taking a CD and doing to CDs what everybody in broadcast has always wanted to be able to do, but we can't because of the limitations of the transmitter, FM transmitters, in comparison to even television. A CD is this big, television audio is this big, FM audio is this big. Right. And so what we've always wanted to do is be able to make it so that the station sounds like a CD, sounds incredible, but with all of the cool processing tricks, the compression, the limiting, the reverberation, stereo expansion. I like to have a great sound station.
Because if you were just to send it out raw, it'll be hard to listen to.
It is. There's radio stations that are doing it now, but I'm not that guy. I'm not going to say they're watching going, is it me? He's talking about me. He's talking about my station. No, it's all right. No, you sound great. No, man, you gotta.
They say, if the shoe fits.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, your signal's hot, man.
So what's stopping satellite radio from being here?
There's no satellites up there.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
They just can't keep a satellite right over Guam and we're just going to dedicate this signal to just one little point on the earth.
That's expensive.
Yeah,
that's expensive stuff to be able to do.
But you can get satellite radio in Hawaii. It's still close enough.
Right
proximity.
There at the edge.
Okay.
It's right there at the edge of the technology, which is why
International
talk radio show. I'm running Rush Limbaugh, Brian Kilmeade, all these guys, from stateside programs, and they sound great, but I can't get them in real time. And even if I could get them in real time, Rush Limbaugh is on at 4:00 in the morning on Guam. Right. So we bring it in, delay it, and then put it on the air. So our satellite reception center is not and has never been on Guam. Our satellite reception is out in the middle of the United States, and then we beam the signal back using the internet. And that system, it's I don't want to say it's flawless, because the second I say it's flawless, my phone's going to ring and somebody's going to say, we lost the signal, man. Denver's down. I don't know. But we bring. We bring it in. We bring it in that way, and like I said, our parent company's iConnect, so I got fat pipes in. If I need other, we've got all kinds of other internet connections. So if I lose a lot of bandwidth on one side, I got other signals that can balance it out and keep it alive.
Yeah, I've always been impressed with the feed, and it doesn't even seem too delayed, even with you talking with the chat, right? Because there's always this maybe like 10-20 second delay of chats coming in and people responding to stuff that you've already seen. Like, why is it just answering that now?
Oh, in a lot of cases, because I'm just now looking at it, so I can't.
You can't talk and read.
I can't talk and read at the same time. Yeah. I can't talk and type at the same time. So when you hear me, I go that means I'm trying to do a multitasking thing. I'm just not. There was no way to prepare for this. So in talk radio before. There was a producer over here, and he points at you and says, governor's on line 2, pick it up, and you're talking to the governor on line 2. All right, so but I didn't have what I've got now, which is there's a core, the point familia, if you will, of, I don't know, it's grown so much just since COVID. But there's a core of people that are in there, and so as I'm interviewing somebody, Daphne Shimizu at Rev and Tax, then there's 5 or 6 people saying, I got to get my kid's driver's license. Where's my EIP? Where are we on tax refunds? Yeah. All these real time questions, and it's so different from the way it was just 10 years ago, where if you wanted to ask a question, you had to call the radio station, bug the producer to get you on, let them know that you wanted a conference with whoever Ray's guest was, and do all that. Now I can just go and say, no, I got Boo from Master Random on the line, and he wants to know why he hasn't got his sticker for his registration, even though he did it online. And you can sit back and they'll be, thanks, Ray.
Was that hard for you to learn how to integrate a chat into your show?
It just the reading and because the hardest part, Boo, is that it is so distracting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I've got paperwork over here. I'm in the office at 5:00 in the morning. I got 2 newspapers in front of me. I got scripts from the television newscast from the other night. I got whatever was in the police magistrate, plus any number of other what we call show prep ideas and links. So I walk in. I've got one of these composition notebooks because they're cheap. And you write out all your thoughts and all the different issues, and that's the plan for the day. And then somebody can call up and say, "Man, there's too many wild pigs down in Santa Rita now." And there's the first hour of the show. There it is. There's the first hour of the show. Or
now you got 4 pig farmers calling. A restaurant guy who donates the slop to the pig farmer.
What do you mean there's too much? There's not enough pigs down in Santa Rita. We need more. And so that's the fun part of it is all of a sudden, you go, okay, whatever my plan was is going to take a back seat to this. Yeah. We used to be able to do 3-4 hour shows and just trash. Back when trash was lousy, or we had water issues, and there was a guy named Dave Craddock, and Dave Craddock couldn't go on the radio without pissing somebody off, and it was great. So we'd call him like 3 times a week. Hey, Dave, what's going on? just it's like spraying carburetor cleaner into the lawnmower. It's going to start something, and it might sputter for a little bit, or it might just. All right, and we're off. So there's a little bit of that kind of radio magic that we get away with.
Yeah. So for as long as you've been on talk radio, and politics has always come in the middle of it, like how have you watched or seen politics evolve here on Guam? Is for me personally, I feel like the lines are very blurred between parties, right? You find some Republicans that have Democratic views, some Democrats that have Republican views, but how have you been able to see it evolve? I mean, you're sitting literally front and center to.
Okay, first of all, I never really take it seriously.
I've noticed. I noticed. But there is
theme of the show every day: political gossip and smart-ass comments. So, and I don't know. There was when
we don't have to get into the politics, but I'm just curious because it's always, for any talk show, it's always at the top of the list.
Oh, as it should be. Right. These are people that are elected representatives that are making decisions or not making decisions for us. So that has to be important, and we have to recognize that there will always be a topic at the legislature that bears discussion. So, but having said that, when I first got into talk radio. And again, you want to talk about giants, man. I got Carl T.C. Gutierrez was the governor of Guam. And we've since then Eddie Calvo, Felix Camacho, and everybody's human, and some of these guys are absolutely heroes in my mind, and some of these guys, oh my God, I can't believe this. They're doing this out in public where everybody can see it. But as the years go by, some of these guys, they fade into the darkness, and some of them come back.
I think something just fell inside.
That's okay. I was because this part of Bagania that we're in right now is haunted, man. It's a Nagui.
My great grandmother's house was just down the street.
Yep.
Hey, Matt, can you grab another one?
Yeah. Another one of these delicious adult beverages. But I'm not turning red. I want you. This is not me turning red. This is the tan.
Me, I turn red.
Do you?
I'm a red turner. But then I notice, as someone who turns red when they drink alcohol, you try to figure out, like, there's people that take seltzers, there's people that do.
Oh, can we talk about seltzers? Where did that come from?
I don't know.
One day we're all drinking beer or beer light, and then the next day I'm watching Marines walking down the streets with these little seltzers, and I'm going, isn't that a girl drink? And apparently it's not a girl drink.
No, apparently it's not.
You know what I found out about lime-a-ritas and margarita, those mango-ritas?
They're strong as
holy
hell.
Wow, oh my God.
All you need is like 4 of them, and
I couldn't make it past 2.
You're torqued.
I couldn't make it past 2. I said, you got to be kidding. Why am I feeling this way? Oh, you had 2 of the strawberry Ritas. Oh, that's why.
Whichever you like.
Yeah, the Gold Cliff is good, but once I'm on the big wave, I like to stay big wave.
Yeah, for sure.
But with politics, as I said, there were some big names that I knew growing up. We're both from political families. Ada and Underwoods. And so, we've got a lot of the same DNA has been with us for a long time. But one of the things that has occurred over the years is I'm no longer looking at people that have been great in the world of politics for the last 25 years. I'm looking at guys that are the same age as me. Felix Camacho is just a few years older than me. Eddie Calvo was a class of 79. I'm class of 80. And
we're peers, literally.
Exactly. We're peers. Dude, the nuns used to kick us out of academy. We were all together at the same, Gibson, Calvo, out. Get out right now. So it's and we all grew up together. We all snuck into the same clubs in the late 70s and early 80s together. So I'm like, there's just so much bola I can handle from you because we were children together.
Right.
And I know when you're lying. I know when you're bending the truth. So that's become kind of interesting over the last couple of years is just, watching the transition as, politicians get younger and younger. Now, heck, anymore, there's so many very young politicians. Former Senator Regine Biscoe-Lee.
Right.
And she's got, and I thought she had a great career working at the Congresswoman's office. And she was with United for a while, and she was able to turn that and her experience. We didn't always see eye to eye on all of the topics and the issues.
Yeah.
But I think I knew where she was coming from.
I first met her on this podcast. We before she became a senator, we just had her on. I think she was working for RIMS at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
helping them out with the promotions for GVB.
Yeah. So we had her on. We talked, and it like I want to say it came up briefly. Whether she would ever run for politics, and she didn't say for sure. But that was so many years ago.
Yeah,
I remember. But the very next year, she had ran and made it. So
at the legislature, you get somebody like Will Castro. Before Will had any interest in politics, he was one of the originators of online retail on Guam. He had gifts from Guam gifts, something like that. And we worked together. I used to have a very, very small online radio station, Chamorro FM. And it was Chamorro.fm. And the idea behind it was, because it didn't exist anywhere, was I was able to get, some inexpensive looping software and got all these Chamorro songs. And I didn't have any great ideas to turn it into a moneymaker, but I thought there ought to be an opportunity for somebody to make money. And as it turns out, the software that I was using would put the album cover up, and it would put the title in the artist, and you could have a buy link. And the buy link went to Will Castro's sales website. So you could buy Goodzeria and lemon powder and the latest Casey De Leon Guerrero CD from it. So this is what, 90 late 90s, early 2000s.
The advent
when I was playing around with that.
Even just the advent of
streaming at radio.
Yeah, streaming radio and online retail. Yeah.
No, there was a great time. So, politically, that for me is the greatest transition, is just being able to see people that I've known, either grew up with or have been a part somewhere. Our lives and our careers have intersected one way or the other.
Yeah, and and you're right. I don't think anybody, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, maybe back in the day, I don't know if anybody was groomed into becoming a politician or becoming a senator on Guam, right? It's almost they were doing something else. Maybe they wanted to see change. Yeah, I had Governor Eddie Calvo on his last day. I went to his office and I talked to him.
Oh.
And he was telling me, it's like, I was working for Pepsi,
Yeah.
And I was the general manager of Pepsi, and there was a bill on the floor, and I wanted something different, and I wanted change, and I went and I ran the next year, and I think that was 2000 or 2001 that he ran, right? Or 90, in late 90s. Had to be late 90s.
The numbers run together in my head.
Yeah.
but I remember, he was Eddie Pepsi forever. That's what we called him. But that was literally, if we saw each other in the streets, hey, Eddie Pepsi. And hey, Ray, how's it going? He used to do a thing on Christmas, and I don't know how he got me to do it, but for a couple of 2 or 3 Christmases in a row, he would have me get dressed up in a Santa Claus outfit. I was working at the time, hot jock on Hit Radio 100, and they thought it was pretty cool to have the guy that the kids listened to come by and hand out presents on Christmas Day. And, it was Christmas Day on Guam.
Right.
Hot.
Right.
And I'm wearing a Santa Claus outfit. But it was Eddie.
Did it 3 times.
It was Eddie, and Eddie asked, and it's for the kids, and so the answer was always going to be, I was always going to end up being yes. And for many years, my mother worked for the Calvo family, in the travel industry. So we, like I said, we all grew up together.
Yeah.
One way or the other, playing around as kids. Some of the politicians and people in business and industry, I remember learning to swim with at the USO. In the middle of the last century.
Yeah.
Some of the first faces and names that I remembering are some of the guys that are knocking around right now.
Yeah, that's got to be interesting to see, like you being a talk personality, but the transition. You were almost in the middle of a transition of seeing people like you said, you look up to directly parallel.
But here's the thing: is there might not be too many people on the air now that born and raised, grew up on Guam, that are willing to take their personality and put their thoughts and feelings about things on the air. I jeopardize my relationship with all of these people every morning when I go to work. You got something in the news, and I say, I really don't like this bill by Senator so-and-so, and now I gotta go on the air and say I think this is a piece of crap, and then I'm gonna see him later at venue.
At the fundraiser.
And it's going to be awkward, but, they got their job, I got my job, and for the most part, after a while, Felix Camacho started talking to me again. After a while,
there comes that level of understanding, like, he's doing it to everybody.
Yeah, it's not just me.
It's just not picking on me.
What kind of Republican is Ray? He's hammering Eddie. I'm like, it's not as you said, it ain't a Republican thing. It's just, I thought that was a bad deal, and I have to say so.
Yeah, and I was walking my dog outside, and I was thinking about that. I was like, man, every time I listen to you, it's like you don't really favor anybody, right? It's like you take the story or the headline as face value, and then you put your own take to it, right?
Well, because I gotta sit at the same side of the table as our listeners,
right?
Okay, so I know my way around the world of politics, and I think I know my way around the world of politicians. Most people don't live there. And like I said, think about your family, your background, and you wouldn't have a problem walking into any fundraiser for any politician and having a good time yakking, interacting. There's a lot of people that they're not like that. They're not like that. They're, they got kids to send to school. They got, mortgages to pay. They've got businesses to run, and they don't have the time for that kind of thing. So I need to sit on the same side of the table as them, and I need to be able to call the shots the way I see them for these people, not the politicians. Politicians come and go, but these people, this is the bread and butter. It's the salt of the earth. These are the ones that need to have somebody representing them in the media.
Right.
And for the most part, I don't know that there has been a lot of people with this COVID-19. I don't know that there have been a whole lot of people that are speaking for the common man, that just, man, you know what's great? I'm sitting down, we're drinking beer, I don't have to have a mask on.
Right.
I'm not, I didn't have to mask up to get here. When I get back in my car, I know the place where I'm going, and they'll have me mask up from the door
for
to the
10
chair.
feet.
COVID-19 can't find me here. I'm down below where COVID-19.
But in that 10 feet, I might get COVID. You never know.
Step on the circle.
Yeah.
You can't get COVID if you step on the circle. It'll be all right.
Yeah, COVID has been it's been mind blowing for me. I do the necessary things to at least stay healthy, and for me,
you don't. You do the necessary things to be able to walk in the store, get a haircut, get your longboard, and get back to the car.
That's very true.
We need the mitigations. I have not done, except for when my daughter bugs me about it. Hand sanitizer. Why?
Yeah.
I'll just wash my hands.
I mean, that's why when you walked in, I wasn't like, we're not forcing you to wear a mask. Like we trust that we all have an understanding. Like, okay, I don't feel like shit today. You don't feel like shit today.
You're making a big mistake. I maintain as much as possible the same social life that I had in March the 10th of 2020. I hang out with people. I go hiking. We have parties. We hang out on the beach. All of this other stuff.
Do you wear a mask to the store?
Yes, because they won't let me in.
Yeah, that's right.
God! Oh my God, Karen! There's a store full of Karens in Tamuning. I won't say which one it is, but it's managed and owned, I think, by a woman, and she is the ultimate Karen. I walked in and I had the mask on, but it wasn't covering my nose.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, you gotta.
Yeah, I walked into a mom and pop store and I didn't wear my mask. This was like 4 weeks ago, and I walked straight through. I walked to the drinks, and I didn't realize it until I got to the cash register, and I was like, "Why is everyone looking at me?"
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh shit! I don't have my mask. I left everything where on the counter there, and I ran outside. I was like, man, I'm so sorry."
Did you go back in?
I did go.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say.
yeah, I did go back in, and then I apologized. I was like, "Hey, I wasn't thinking. I understand the rules and stuff like that." It's just that I'm so used to just being me, and even around my family, around my friends. Yeah, I'm like, hey, are we gonna sit here and wear a mask around each other and pretend like we're not going to get this somewhere else, you know? It's like,
Or I'm not bringing it to
or
you
I'm
from
not
somebody else. Yeah, so I don't know if you're watching and you were at Coffee Slut, one of those John Dank Friday nights there a few weeks ago, and you saw a guy in like really, really short shorts walking around with no mask and really, really social. Okay, that was me, and sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
what is your mindset on it? You know, what are your thoughts on it?
Which one?
On COVID.
Oh.
How everything unfolded, right? Because when it first started, me and my friends were like, oh, we didn't really know what to make of it. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we won't see each other for 2 weeks. Then we hang out and we rage on.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, we'll give it another 2 weeks and we'll figure it out. And then no incidences, no sickness and stuff like that. Everyone was playing sport. We were playing touch rugby every Wednesday and no mask and everything like that. And it's like, okay, nothing is making sense of what they're telling us in the media and what is actually happening in the real world.
Yeah.
And it's messing everyone up. And
it's killed our economy.
Yeah, the world of social media has sensationalized this for no reason.
It's fear porn. It is fear porn, and
I don't buy into that.
No, and I haven't. You know, I get it. There are times, and there are people that are scared, and that's the thing. There are people that are scared. You know, there's the older folks, people with the comorbidities, and we need to take care of them. But we knew in March of last year that we needed to take care of those guys. That's the thing. That has been the constant. None of that has changed. You know, but the race to the vaccine, I think it's incredible. I think it's Herculean.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the vaccine. I don't need to. I'm a marathon runner, and I'm out in the vitamin D all the time. I work out. I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And you know, look, if I catch it and die as a denier, darn.
Ah, shit. It was just my time.
Oh man.
Yeah. I take 6,000 IUs of vitamin D with potassium so it doesn't calcify in my bloodstream, and some fish oils, and I go about my day. And I feel
I've
fine.
even stopped taking the fish oil and the vitamins. I used to do that, and all my doctor friends saying, you know, you're literally pissing your money away. As all of that stuff goes through your system, if you're not getting it in your food, you're not going to get that
Is
much
that right?
benefit.
Yeah. My friend sent me an article saying that multivitamins actually is a big hoax. It was a big like trying to monopolize the nutrition market.
Yep.
And the dude and his wife ended up dying from cancer.
Because they were all loaded up on vitamins and things like that.
Multivitamins, yeah.
So I used to take an Ultraman and fish oil, and I might go back to the fish oil because every once in a while I get this feeling in my older knees while I'm running, like maybe I do need to have a little bit of additional lubrication floating around in the bloodstream. But all of the rest of this stuff really never made that much of a difference to me, and so you know I don't worry about that. You know, 59 years old in 2 months. Today, and I'm doing okay for 59.
Yeah,
you know,
still looking young.
When my grandfather was 59, he died. So I'm going, all right, so I'm making 59. This is cool. I'm hanging out with hot chicks. This is so much fun. All right, I'm somewhere along the way. I'm doing it right. Thank God.
This is the living vicariously through you thing.
Yeah, but I don't know and I'm not sure how exactly to say it without sounding callous or just boorish. But there were a couple of big life changes a couple of years ago that happened to me, and it put me in a position where wow, what's next for somebody in my age group that all of a sudden finds himself single after all these years, and I sometimes that kind of thing will define a human being.
For sure.
And
for sure.
You see guys and, they look like they're cast-offs of society. And I said, okay, this is not going to happen to me. Whatever, it's not going to happen to me. I said, I'm going
Ray,
to
what happened?
And so, and I was fortunate enough. I was in Hong Kong, wearing a pair of Dockers and a polo shirt. And I met a woman. Nothing ever happened of it, but I met a woman. We had this, and she was a kind of woman. You know this kind. And she walked into this room. I was having lunch with another lady friend, and her friend walked into the room and literally changed the frequency of the room. You've seen this.
Yeah.
You've seen this.
Yeah, definitely.
Happens at Crust every night. And that's the big secret for today's program, guys. Happy hour at Crust over by the bar.
And it happens when you're with your boys.
The worst thing is when it happens when you're with your girl.
Yeah.
That's the suck part. But she walked in and I knew that this was the lady that we were going to meet for lunch, and she comes over, sits at the table, and we're having a good time, and we get to exchanging stories and stuff like that, and she says, you need, and I said, what? She says, and I said, what? She says, you're an ugly dresser. And I said, what do you mean? She says, I can tell by looking, you've got an athlete's body, and you're covering it up with Dockers and these, polo golf shirts. And I said, and? She said, okay, so pay the bill and let's go. We were in this big department store in Hong Kong, and she walked me into a Zara store. Right, so Zara scores, tight shirts, skinny pants.
It's almost like a top shop.
Yeah. And between her and the other girl, and they send me, okay, wear this, go try this on, go try this on, go try that on. And by the time they were done, I'd walked out of there with about $1,000 worth of new clothes. And the deal that I made with them was that I was going to throw everything else away, and I did, and just that changed my mindset over from where I was in kind of that funky part of the transition phase into, wow, okay, and discovered the concept of self-love and things like that. And it was just so much fun, and it paved the way for me to continue in 2021 to have almost as much fun as I was having in 1981.
With the same amount of confidence.
18, 19 years old, the same amount of confidence and a whole lot more bread.
That's key.
Well, because every once in a while, okay, this is the part where everybody's
I always
going,
think about, like, man, when I was in the States, I was not making any money, man. Now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm making some dough, and feels good, and I can spend it and stuff, and yeah.
Well, this is the part where all your viewers are saying bullshit. No way. But I have a great time. There's an old line. Imagine. The old guys will say this to each other. They say, "Golly, I wish I knew then what I know now, and made the kind of money I'm making now that I'm and I'm in this point where I'm going, I know now what I knew then, and I'm making money, and I've got all kinds of opportunities to have a good time with it. So my life anymore, COVID-19 lifestyle: wake up, go to the show, go home, take a nap, and then try to figure out which beach. Where am I going to? And when I go and I put on a pair of Scandalous shorts, and I've got
I have seen you in your shorts many a times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, my favorite is when somebody says, well, let's go hang out at Club XYZ.
Yeah, I think I've even seen you at the bar.
Yeah, and I've got the short. Did you run? Did you went? I went to the beach. Whatever. We got the sun, and people are watching, going, well, you better at least be using sunblock. Okay, sunblock is a scam. And I'm a kid from Guam.
It destroys the ocean.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm a kid from Guam, and as far as I'm concerned, my Guam sun is never going to hurt me. And if it does, again, that's what you get next time. Sunblock, boy. If you survive your skin cancer, sunblock. Okay, I'll work on that. But, that's and it's not a terrible life. It's not a terrible life. There's this kind of a lazy rhythm of a bachelor's life that you get to go through. And like I said, the deal for me was, and for just anybody, the program notes here is, we were originally going to do, you want to do this tomorrow on Friday.
Yeah.
Around 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
No.
At nighttime.
No.
And then I asked for the weekend.
No. There's sunsets at 6 o'clock. I need to be close to a sunset.
What is the reason?
I don't know. There's number one, it's the ocean. There is a calming effect of the ocean, and when life gets to whatever you think is stressful. And they used to tell cops to do this, right? Cops, after they worked the overnight and had to go and separate the husband beating up his wife or his girlfriend, and kids, sleeping in cars in front of the gambling places, and that takes a toll on officers. And so they were telling them, this goes back 20 years now, is you need to decompress before you go home. You need to decompress. So they were just
go straight home. Yeah.
So they were telling these guys, go find sunrise. So if you worked all night, you've been going through the things about life and on Guam that you never ever really want to hear about. And so here's what you do: go decompress, go sit at the beach, have a cup of coffee or water, or have a cold beer, and watch the sun come up on a new day. There's something reassuring about that. And the same is true with sunsets. You need to have some kind of a punctuator on the day. You can't just go in this, as I said, lazy rhythm. There's got to be something cool. The cool thing about sunsets on Guam is no two are the same. They're snowflakes. Every single one is different. And, you know, you get these ones. We had Monday a few weeks back. You'll remember it, where all of Agana was all of a sudden cast in this red color because the sun, when it went down, lit up the sky exactly right. All of the clouds, everything, 20 different shades of red. And everybody took a picture and put it on Facebook and Instagram. Everybody did that. And so is it going to happen tomorrow night? What's the night sunset going to be like? Is there going to be green flash? You know, you get together with your friends. We do a thing every Friday night at an undisclosed location. And we sit around and drink beer and tell stories about the week and watch the sunset. And sometimes we'll go and go home from there, or sometimes, hey, maybe let's go have dinner. And, you know, so you never know where that particular event is going to take you. But it's something that I think can be unique to Guam. So, you know, whenever I talk about sunset in the weather report, it's always hashtag tell the others. Hashtag tell the others. Sometimes there's other instructions like tee back, if you can. Not for the guys. Yeah, do it for the guys. Okay. This week, it's one pieces. I know some of you are most confident and comfortable in one pieces, so hashtag tell the others, one piece. Yes, I'm Scabbit.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems almost like a meditation thing for you, huh? This sunset thing, just going out there and reflection. As a young man, I've been always seeking.
Dude, tomorrow's go home at sunset. That's the most amazing thing to me. And, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, you know, the Tuan Bay, and it's looking great, and the sun is about ready to go down, and there's all these people that bring their chairs to the beach around that time, and I'm looking at local families pack up the kids, get the tent together
before it gets dark.
Yeah, it's got to go home before it gets dark.
Gotta shower the kids before it gets dark.
It's the best part, guys. Isn't it? You know, it's like, go ahead, chew the ends of the wings. You'll like it.
Yeah. You know, as a young man, I've looked at self-reflection as something that's kept me balanced throughout life, right? And you mentioned the stresses of daily life, man. They can really take a toll. And actually, this podcast has always been some sort of a decompressor.
Yeah.
You know, I have like a long day at work, and then even today, you wouldn't even believe how my day was today. But sitting here having this conversation with you, it's like almost refreshing, right? It's like energy. It's just feeding off of each other's energy, and I can and it's always been that sort of meditative, subconsciously meditative state for me, right? And just going into natural conversation, or just in general being in conversation with somebody, it's always been a sort of a kicker for me ever since I started this.
Yeah, it's I learned this in communications at the University of Guam years ago. You get two people together and you make a cosmic baby, right? Who knows what's going to be happening with that? And, you know, you do this every single day. And there's these relationships that, you know, you build, and you never know where it's going to go. But, you know, a conversation like this, we've got a little bit in common, you know, families and the love for microphones and video cameras and all of this other stuff. And so, you know, we are able to take it from there and, you know, I don't want to say exploit the relationship, but, you know, just see where it goes. We're pals now. I've shared secrets with you. You know,
and I appreciate that.
There's a catharsis behind all of this as well. When my grandmother died, this is, I can't even remember when what year it was. It was a long time ago. My sister's yelling at the TV now with exactly the year. It was Mana's birthday. You remember it was Mana's birthday? Yeah, I remember it was Mana's birthday, but I don't remember what year.
I don't remember Mana's birthday.
But my mom, you know, it was like, okay, everybody, we got to stay rosaries, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And it was the old, you know, tomorrow morning, the saga of the morning.
Yeah.
And we got through, I don't know, about 3 or 4 days of it. And I said, I'm going back to work. I'm going back to work. I can't handle this. I'm not built to sit around the house and not do anything except wait for the lunchtime rosary and then clean up and then wait for the nighttime rosary. Sorry, can't do it. Grandma loved what I did for a living, and so I'm going to continue to honor her by going to work. And I'm going to play records that I like, and I'm going to talk to chicks on the phone, and I'm going to have a good time, but I'm going to do it with the intention of, you know, fulfilling that something that she knew I enjoyed, and she enjoyed me doing it. So that, you know, for me, that's always been the place. You know, I was counseling, and I won't mention his name, but one of my employees, one of the guys, was having a hard time with his wife, and it wasn't pretty. And he says, "Man, I need to take some time off." I said, "No, now is the time you need to come on the air. You need to be on the air right now, because I guarantee no matter what else is happening in your life, that from the time that you sign on to the time that you hang up your headphones, those will be the most powerful, met good 4 hours of your day. Everything else might be awful. The rest of it might be trash. But at least in those 4 hours, you know you're the king of the rock. And he's like, oh my God, you're right. And to the degree that he seems to be doing much better now, and I know I gave him the right advice, because frankly, this is what we do. This is what we love.
Yeah.
Sucks for you because you don't get to do this every day.
I don't get to do it every day.
4 hours a day, every day. Hey, you want to talk on the microphone some more? Yeah, what time? I'll come over. We'll drink beer. Yeah, I'll talk on the microphone some more.
It's been 3 months for me, man, and it's like I've been itching, and I told my lady, I was like, man, I feel like I really need to do a podcast. Like I texted Matt, I was like, dude, come over. Let's do something. Let's at least do the monologue thing, and then right after that, I was like, I'm gonna schedule something, and that's when I messaged you. I was like, this has to happen. I'm not gonna keep feeling like this and feeling like something's missing. Yeah.
No, it's the same. So I'll from time to time, I haven't been able to do it for COVID, but I like to go to the Philippines. Whatever you're thinking, it's true. Just whatever. I know that there's a thought in your head. Right, and just whatever, just
to each his own.
Yeah, exactly, and just as long as you make the conversion from dollars to pesos, and
and the money's right.
They've got the motorcycle guy will take you back to the hotel. But anyway, so I like to go to the Philippines, and the truth of the matter is that there are spots in Bonifacio Global City that I just like walking around.
Oh my
I can
gosh,
take an entire week there.
Beautiful,
oh, isn't it?
Man. Just walking down that strip and
the shopping, the high street, just everything. They got a Zara.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing me and Matt. How long you been with me? About a couple years, 2-3 years. Except last year we didn't really do podcasts. I've been meaning, Matt, I'll take you to the Philippines. Let's just go walk Fort Bonifacio and let you enjoy yourself.
Well, here, you want an excuse? I don't know that he did it last year, but Senator Dennis Rodriguez likes to do a thing at St. Luke's in BGC. Okay. So he'll go and cook turkey and fix dinners for all of the Chamorros that they're taking some kind of care one way or the other, and it's very, very well attended. I mean, that'd make a great 4-hour show. I just hey, Dennis is over here, and we'll talk to some of the other people that are walking around. Do you like the turkey? Was it good? Everybody's okay. And everybody's got a different St. Luke story. But getting back to the idea is we haven't been able to travel. But when I do travel, I'm going, okay, I'm having a good time. BGC, my condo has a pool that is actually in the sunlight because it's surrounded by other tall buildings. It's only actually in the sunlight for about 20 minutes. So I like to get down to the pool and get today's tan while I'm there. But as I'm sitting there, I'm reading stories and headlines and WhatsApps from Guam, going, dude, if I was on the air, this is what I'd be talking about. So the joke in the house is one of these days I'm going to get old and senile, and I'll still pretend I'll have a setup like this. My daughter will set up a setup like this where I'll have a microphone on the kitchen table, and I'll be the old senile Ray Gibson pretending to interview people. And she'll be, Daddy, Governor Calvin's online. Oh, look, we've got the governor online, too. Good morning, Eddie. How you doing? Hey, Eddie Pepsi, what's up?
And it's just old recordings that she's clipped over the years.
That's whatever. Or just changing her voice. That's the joke in the family. Just put a microphone in front of you. You're on the air. Take a break. Do that Matt producer stuff.
What did you do in that time? You did mostly just the
operations stuff. Just operations.
So you've been behind the scenes this whole time.
I still am behind the scenes. Yeah. I manage sales, technology. As I said, we're upgrading certain parts of the Star 101 infrastructure, and it's a work in progress. Unfortunately, we're at the end of the supply chain for a lot of things, and COVID-19 has made it difficult for manufacturers to be able to come up with items that I need at the specs that I want. So it's obviously taking its time. Yeah. But since I was on the air, and it was around this time of year, in 2015, 2016, when I left that company and then started working with iConnect and Boss 104 and Star 101, and I didn't go on the air. And I got to tell you that it was simultaneously the best couple of years of my life and the worst couple of years of my life. It was great because I still woke up early, but I could go back to sleep if I wanted to. So here's the thing. It's Thursday night while we're recording this. So it's Thursday night. I'm going to probably have a couple more of these with dinner. And at 4:05 tomorrow, I'll wake up. Actually, I wake up at 2, and it's fitful.
What time's your bedtime?
I try to be near pillow at about 9. At about 9 every night. And definitely stop drinking anything, because it's like a pilot. You need a certain number of hours if you want to operate correctly. So right around there, around that time frame, I try to be close to pillow. But on weeknights, I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, like that, every single time. And it's fighting. Take these little micro naps between 2 and about 4. And these days,
you'll do something, sit on the couch, close your eyes.
No, just stay in bed. You put the covers up and go, sleep. You have to wake up for real at 4. You have to wake up for real. I said, please sleep. You'll know when you're older.
Oh, man, that's
you're gonna
nutty.
get to be
That's
old
nutty,
smart like
man.
me, and you're gonna go, oh my God, he was right. You wake up and you're like, I have to wake up at 4. I've got to be out the door at 5.
For a number of years, I've been waking up clockwork 5:30. Clockwork, like, even when I don't want to wake up at 5:30.
Well, get up.
Oh shit, I'm up.
Wake up, go do something. Take a carpe diem, as they say, and figure out what you can do with the additional hours that you've got. I mean, if you can, weekends. I think I'm sleeping in if I get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. That to me is sleeping in, because I'm up at 4.
Right.
And then I'll go, okay, Saturday morning, I don't have to work. Oh my God, holidays are the best. I don't have to get out of bed. But and then you finally end up moving around, and then you start to build the rest of your day, and it feels pretty good. So I don't know that if there's the hard part of the job, that's it, is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's 5 days, and so tomorrow morning when I wake up, it will be a victorious wake up, because it's the last time that I have to wake up at 4. That I have to get up. Saturday morning, I don't have to get up.
But you're still gonna get up at 2.
Oh yeah,
no matter what.
Yeah, because old guy, right? I don't know when it used to be 3. People in their 30s. When I was in my 30s, every night at no kidding, 3 o'clock, witching hour, I'd wake up and I was awake. There, and it's not screw your eyeballs shut and try to get back to sleep. I was awake, and but I wasn't doing morning radio at that time. I was still in the afternoons. That was the best time. Afternoon radio was awesome.
How do they manage ratings? How do they know when people are listening on radio?
On Guam, it's not done. And even if we were living,
so it's just a best guess. Pico's best, right?
Kind of. Yeah, if you pay him enough.
It's Pico's best, not actual.
Well, I'm not going to say that you have to buy a lot of advertising in the PDN and pay to have instead of just your name, your logo. I'm not going to say that's any part of the process, but I think for some of the companies that it helped, who you are. But anyway, so with ratings, even if we were living in the States, I don't know that I'd say that. The rating systems that are available in the States are much better. They came out with, I remember they made a big deal. They have these, they'd give you a personal listening device, because the radio station would encode a certain signal. So every time that the certain listening device was around it, it would take the signal and say, oh, they're listening to 93.3 The Point, because I'm detecting that signal. Well, what happens if you're listening to 93.3 The Point with headphones on? Then your personal listening device isn't hearing it, and you don't get credit for the ratings. So, as far as ratings are concerned.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a perfect way to do that. There's no addressability in the technical terms for a radio. The radio is not reporting back to anybody else what station it's on.
Do you know how it works for television?
In certain television markets, it's roughly the same way. What TV show are you watching? What did you view? Is there technology? With television, it's a little bit easier because there is addressability in the cable television business. You got a cable box here?
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because then the cable companies knows what you're watching. They know how much time you spend on the Playboy channel, whatever. Waiting.
HBO at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so they know, the cable companies can detect that information because there's a thing called addressability. Once you've got a box, and the cable company was the internet before the internet. So if you've got a cable box over here, it reports back. And in fact, we don't actually have 200 channels going to your house. We have one channel. Your cable box tells the cable company that you want to switch from channel 2 to channel 4, and then it sends that information
That
back
signal,
over.
yeah.
And so it doesn't take a whole lot for the computers to go, all right, at this time he was watching this on this channel, he watched the entire KUAM news, he watched 2 minutes of PNC, or vice versa. And so you've got that addressability, that communications. That doesn't exist for radio until streaming became popular, until people watching on Facebook and YouTube became popular. And I'm sure there are more people listening to me over terrestrial radio on FM or on HD3, and that's fine. But it's also interesting to see the numbers creep up with the non-traditional digital media, to see what's happening in social media, and they all kind of complement each other. So I can't nail it down and say that Pam Duvall or Dennis Larson are listening from one moment to the next, or how much time they're spending with the show. But I know that they're there in the morning, and I know that they're there, towards the end of the show, so that I can keep track of them. YouTube, I can also track viewership and see how many listeners, where the peaks are, how many people are listening at that time. Concurrent viewers. With the audio streams, I can see.
And that data is super important, huh?
Who's got time to pour over it, though?
That's the big thing.
That's a full-time job for somebody.
The data is really can
so you're
really
gonna
push a station.
So you get data for this. You can see how many people have watched the show. Yeah. So you're gonna have.
I haven't dropped an episode in 3 months, and I still get people listening to the show.
Exactly.
Exactly. Blows my mind. Just as many people as when I was doing the show.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's not weird. That's the magic of social media. So when this is done, and you send me the link, well, I'm going to share it. It ain't going to be. I'll share it live, obviously, but I'll share the thing. Oh, we're not live. We're recording,
we're not. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll share the recording, and that's going to get shared, and that's going to get shared. So over time, people are going to say, "Did you hear what Gibson said about Eddie Calvo on that podcast?"
He called him Eddie Pepsi.
Did you hear what he said?
Nobody calls him.
So there's all of this share, and that's in my mind one of the great things about it is the shareability of the program. That's what social media really does. That's the magic of it. It's the multiplier. If I'm just doing a live shot on television, if I'm just doing a live shot on the radio, that's it. It ends there. As soon as the listeners heard it, we're finished. But now this is on demand, and because it's in social media, they'll be able to take the stream and come right up to the part that they think is interesting to them and share the link from that exact moment to somebody else.
Right.
And they'll be able to share it with somebody else. And you've got this whole circle that never ever existed
time
before.
Signature, key signature, something like that. Time signature.
And it's a beautiful thing, and it turns into something that now makes a little bit more sense to me. There was a professor at the University of Guam, communications professor.
Right.
He had a Rolex watch, and he took the guts out, and he had rocks in it. And I said, all university professors are crazy. All doctors are crazy. All lawyers are crazy. Everybody's got a little bit of crazy in them. But this guy had the rocks in what would normally be a Rolex. And he said it is to remind me that the communications, good communications, don't live in real time. And the best example he could give me of that was a book. If somebody can write a book, and William Shakespeare wrote books. People are still reading William Shakespeare books today. The communication between that author is happening today. And now with social media, with digital technology and the cloud, all of this is going to live in the cloud way longer than you and I are going to live.
Right.
And whether it'll be relevant or not, who knows?
Whether you putting it up or someone downloaded it and it's in their files, yeah.
So now it makes sense to me. Now the communication that we're having will live far beyond us. I mean, who knows? Somebody may have, they're looking at the archives 200 years from now. What was life on Guam like in 2021? I don't know. But I heard there was a podcast. There was a Master Random thing. So they'll dig this up, and they'll dig our conversation out. And maybe there will still be something interesting then. And won't it be interesting that we will be talking to people, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, X times generations down the road that we'll have never met, that by virtue of this communication, this conversation, we'll know pretty much all the fun things about us.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
That will be cool. And we will live forever.
That's what's been pushing me all these years to continue doing this show is like, man, it's almost like legacy type, right? It's
It
like
is.
you're creating sort of this legacy of having all these different kinds of conversations. I mean, even yourself. I mean, even expanding beyond those years, right? But now
Yep.
in the digital age, like you said, it's forever.
I want broken mirror stuff. I want to be able to download everything in here into a server somewhere and live in there into perpetuity.
I'm all about human transcendence. You know? It's like we're bound to evolve. You know, it's like how do I get myself on that evolution train? Right?
Exactly. There's a God. You get into dream technology and things like that. I remember years ago I had this dream where I was called back out. Let's say I had special skills or whatever, and so I'm just existing as a sentient being, but in digital form on a computer somewhere, and somebody needed something that only I could provide. And so they're able to bring me out of this and put me into a human being and then back out. And this is in the 1990s. You watch Dark Mirror and programs like that. It's all it is. How do we put somebody in a sock, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, but I hope it happens in our lives.
Yeah.
I hope it happens in our lives where we're able to just data dump everything, so that in another 50 years, when my little girl is in her 60s and she's wondering about what was life like for Dad when he was this age.
Oh man! Look, I just got chills because I think about that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I want to be 80 and think about what I was thinking, or listen to what I was thinking about when I was 27 when I started this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like it's.
Well, there's got to be a way to do it. I don't know what the technology is, and if we could come up with a COVID vaccine inside of a year, I don't understand. I don't understand why do we have the thing that goes in a temple, right? Like in the movie, they go and then they go to what's the name? My favorite broken mirror, I think, is the sound. The DJ Must Die. I think that's a good one. But the one where you get the two girls in Santerio or something like that, and they're reliving. They plugged into a thing where they can live and exist in the 80s, and it's so cool the way they've done that particular show.
I wish I have a good memory on shows and
I have the worst one. I'm the guy. No,
absolute worst.
The movie with the guy and the girl. And they had the soundtrack by that singer.
But it's amazing because there are people who can remember movies to a T, and movie lines. I'm like, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but it depends, I suppose, on what's in whatever is in your head at the time.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Yeah, man, it's this whole idea of wanting to live forever. It's nothing new, right? But now it's just like an evolved version that it's now possible to live forever, right?
Well, like I said, this is the closest thing that we're going to come to a data dump today.
Right.
There was a radio company back in the day, and they had years of tapes of Wolfman Jack, and somebody had gone through all of the Wolfman Jack, transcribed all of the tapes, and they were able to say, I mean, he'd been dead for a while, but they say, okay, well, if you're running Wolfman Jack's show, and he had a syndicated radio show for a long time, they said, okay, well, we'll make it so that Wolfman Jack can do liners for your radio station. And everybody said, well, no, he can't. He's dead. And they said, no. We can loop out parts of what he's said before, and splice them together electronically.
Have you seen the Joe Rogan one where they had him talking about chimps playing hockey? No, Matt.
No,
Matt. Can you show us this?
I believe it or not, spend very little time on podcasts and other audio. If I'm not listening to my station,
it's a YouTube video. So Joe Rogan's had like thousands of episodes, right? So some company in Canada, I believe it was Canada, they were able to splice up all his conversations, and it literally sounds like him talking about chimps playing. And it's a real life. It almost sounds like a real life conversation.
Yeah. Because it's not that different. What do they call them now? Deep fakes.
Right.
There's anything that you can do, and we'll figure out how to sync up the voices. And there's a certain danger to that. It makes it very easy to manipulate the truth. Mm-hmm. And as a member of the media, and as a conservative leaning member of the media, I think about this last election with Trump and Biden, and I wonder. And I don't know how we're ever going to be able to get to it. I wonder what the truth really is. And I'm not a conspiracy guy. I'm not that guy, right? I'm not, tinfoil
But
hat.
it seems like conspiracies have like shot up just during this
Because there's no media that anybody trusts anymore.
Right.
There is no media anybody trusts. Everybody says, "Oh, you can't trust the mainstream media." Okay, well, what's the alternative? And
Who's independent here that's not biased?
so we got Newsmax, we got OAN, we got all these other guys. They're just as biased, hard right as the hard lefties. So somewhere
there's even one Project Veritas, right? And I had to read through it. I was like, whoa, these guys are pretty hard right. It's like.
But so what how do we define what's the truth or what's comfortable to us? And unfortunately, it has reduced the amount of communications that I would have with otherwise intelligent people. Because I know some people won't talk to me because I'm a Trumper, and there are people that I think
Isn't that unfortunate? I feel like that mentality that you support somebody automatically puts you into this category, and it forces people not to be able to express their opinions as they want to, because
thought police.
Yeah, it's like, so you like Trump, so you're a racist. Yeah,
racist. Like, no, wait, misogynist too.
Yeah,
misogynist.
Yeah.
So you got all of those white supremacists. Okay, here's the white supremacist signal. Who am I triggering now as I'm watching this?
right.
So we'll get letters, right? And when did this become white power? When did this become? That's what that means.
Yeah.
And it's somebody else's narrative that has now been turned against us. And it's amazing how easily we have all been separated from each other, and not just as American citizens. Or Guamanians, but it's just people.
Yeah.
And COVID, going back to COVID, we did that as well. As I said, there's a lot of people that are fearful. You and me, we want to go back to the bars. I want USA, Foxy, Tourist Night. Because I'm worried about I'm worried about those little girls.
Yeah.
I don't need them on welfare. But anyway, we need to get these.
You need to support some way.
Yeah. This is a new kind of child support.
Yeah.
There's some more of that misogynistic, patriarchal conversation, but we need to get those places. We need to get those places back open, and I don't understand why they aren't. And somebody says that somewhere there is science that says that bars and clubs and the whole nightlife are super spreaders.
But it's okay to open other things.
So we can have the game rooms open, bingo parlors are open.
Yeah, man, and it's like what you said earlier. I go to Mosa's. I walked to the chair, and all of a sudden, I'm okay.
Yep.
Well, it's cool.
What's the difference between the bar at Mosa's and Live House?
Right. What's the difference between the bar at Carabao and venue?
Yep. And we could name any
food. It's food. That's the difference. Right?
Well, but
that's the biggest difference, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, I've sat at the bar at Mosa's
and not
down
had
the
food,
street,
right?
and not had food. There's people at the governor's office said, "I knew it. I knew it." Gibson said, "It's such a scofflaw." So I made a deal with Carl Gutierrez the other day, because Carl's one of my conduits to the governor and the whole governor's office. So the deal was, if they open the bars and return Guam tonight and the restaurants at 100%, I want everybody at 100% occupancy. I want people to start working for a living again. And so you can't do that if we're only letting half the crowd in. So I want to be able to do that. And I said, Gov, you convince the governor to open up the bars and open up the restaurants full blast, and she can come into the studio and give me a vaccine.
Herself.
Oh, she's a nurse. She's a nurse.
Yeah.
She can come in there and give me the vaccine herself, and we'll have somebody else. Chanel can give me, or Janella. I call her Chanel because this is the kind of person she likes. She can give me the next one. But no dice on that deal just yet. Yeah. That's how much I'm willing to do it. Otherwise, I don't want the vaccine. I don't need the vaccine. But if for PR they go, even Ray Gibson got the vaccine, if that has value to you, then let me open up Tom Pinehoff's place. Let me open up Regina's place over at Old Traditions. Every other nightclub on Guam.
I was talking to a friend, and he owns a bar, and I go, "Hey, how's everything going?" He goes, "If things don't loosen up by March, we're like,
it's a disaster. It's a disaster. And they're going to close with debt. Yeah. Is the thing.
Right.
And they're going to, all of the equipment, everything that they've invested in these properties will now become the property of the landlords. And they don't want it. They don't want it.
Right.
So what are we going to do with these guys? Now, the rule is, I'll give you a piece of advice. Stay liquid. Stay liquid as long as you can. And what that means is that if you've got cash in your pocket, keep cash in your pocket. because you'll be able to take the next time, and there's going to be another one, the next time that there's some kind of disaster that the politicians just can't resist, you're going to need to be able to move and move quickly. And the only way that you can do that is if you've got real assets, cash money, and begin to consolidate forces with other people if you can, and otherwise buy them out if you can't, because eventually it will come back, and you'll be in a position where you'll be the bigger player in the game.
Yeah.
But I know restaurant guys, I know bar guys, and you talk about profit, and they go, when did I make a profit?
Yeah.
I hire people.
It's just about time to at least allow citizens to take the risk, right? If you want to stay home, stay home.
Stay home.
If you want to go out, you go out. But it doesn't make sense for me to wear a mask in the mall all around through the mall. But then when I get into the restaurant in the mall, wait, the restaurant's in the mall, and then when I get into the restaurant, it's okay to take off my mask.
Yes, exactly.
Or I go and eat at the food court, and somehow there's a barrier of COVID freeness in the food court.
But it didn't extend to the movie theaters. You remember when they opened the movie theaters last week? They said, okay, well, you can watch the movie, but you can't. We're not going to allow for food and drinks. And believe it or not, there were enough people. I'm told that the Tango theaters had a whole bunch of sold out shows. Right, because there's people just horny for a movie.
Yeah.
But what's the point if you can't go and get the $8 hot dog and the $8 fries and the $8
part of the
popcorn?
experience?
Yeah, that's the experience. And so you've got a pencil neck over at the Department of Public Health that said, "Well, we can open them, but they can't have food." What?
Yeah.
Huh? This is what happens when you put people in charge that have never run a business. You put people in charge of businesses and hold their licenses, in the palm of your hand that have never actually that don't understand how business works. And in the movie theater business, and this is not a secret. This is not sacred wisdom. The theaters don't make money off the movies. They make money off the concessions. It's been like that since I was watching Godzilla movies at the Cinema Theater back in the 1970s. That's how it works. And for these guys to come through and say, well, you can't sell food and drinks. Thank you very much. Now, you've given us an opportunity to lose money even faster than we were losing it before.
Yeah, because now we have to pay for the rights to play these movies.
And we've got to hire. Now the mitigation rules are in every theater, and there's a bunch of them that are open at Tango, there has to be a guy watching, not the movie, the people, to make sure that when they're not eating whatever I think they can have
movie police.
They can have sealed drinks, bottled drinks, and or water and like chips and stuff. Some of the regulars ain't available in the theaters yet, but they're not watching the big screen. They're watching to make sure that you've got your stinking mask on the entire time. That costs money. Yeah. That's so
you
now
got to pay that guy $15 an hour now.
If we were in the Philippines, that's right. If we were in the Philippines, we'd say, "Oh, that's the mask kuya." There's security kuya, there's the concession kuya, but there's mask kuya there, for no other reason than to make sure that people aren't abusing the privilege of being out in public. I'm with you. Look, I take a risk every single day.
For sure.
I take a risk every single day. There's sometimes I like to go swim at Gun Beach, and certain parts of the years you really shouldn't go any further than about 4 or 5 feet into the water at Gun Beach. Yeah. And every once in a while I'll go and linger there, and that's a risk. I might drown, but I'm still going to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's any number of things. There was as we're taping this today, they're untangling a mess over by BMS where somebody drove a car into a crowd of people that were walking by the side of the road. Even walking by the side of the road is a risk. I'm a runner,
but it might be COVID related too.
No, well, that's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to say. But and who knows? You take a risk every single day.
100%.
Manage your risk.
Yeah.
We're going to manage our risk. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm probably unlikely to become one of those people that turns into a COVID zombie or something like that. So where's this Rogan video you said we're going to watch?
Yeah. Just play it. We can just listen to how clean it sounds. It's just an audio clip that they pulled. This one, right? Yeah, it might be something. No, it's not. It's not him. It's not actually him talking.
Are they watching like a play-by-play?
Yeah, it's something about him. Chimps playing hockey or some deep fake. Oh my gosh.
So is the camera on me the whole time? Because people
No.
Oh,
It's switching.
the bald part of my head here. I did something the other day I don't normally do. I've had in my life. I mean, you go through this in my life there have been just a handful of people that I really loved, but in my life there's only been like 3 or 4 people that I've ever let touch my head. There used to be a lady named Susan. At Susan's Beauty Spot in a Gagnon, she cut my ear from the beginning of the Reagan presidency up until I want to say it was into the Clinton years. Yeah, and then after that there were maybe a couple here and there, but there's another girl named Ashley at Rosie Rouge that does my hair, but she's so busy these days. And so somebody turned me on to another haircut lady, Takara, over at Maine, down at Fiesta, and this was you want to talk about what stresses you out, Ray, is the idea that somebody new is going to cut my hair. I didn't know where this was going to go, but I did a pretty good job.
I've been lucky that the same girl, Cam DeWing, she's awesome. She's been cutting my hair the last 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I was getting my haircut. I got a haircut tomorrow, and I was getting a haircut like a few weeks ago, and I was like, dude, you've been cutting my hair a while, and I haven't known you since you were 18.
Known you longer than I've known girlfriends. You've been cutting my hair longer than I was married that last time. This is kind of amazing.
Right. Here you go.
You get these relationships. All right, on screen.
There's no on screen, so it says following clips are not real. They were generated by a machine.
Space age tech.
Yeah. Are we even connected?
I can hear you.
Can hear you.
There's the monkeys.
Did
you put I do this every morning on the radio. Did you click the thing on the speaker? Is it still muted? And then we gotta watch the ads.
Just turn it up.
What are we cooking at Payless tonight? What's on the taggy?
The functions haven't really changed. You can tell we're rusty in this. Yeah, we'll let Matt figure it out.
We'll splice it in.
Yeah.
Leave it to the guys in post-production. They'll take care of all of that.
Yeah.
Post-production.
So
have I been braggy?
No.
I was worried about that.
Not at all.
I'd come in and
not
be
at
braggy.
all. Not at all.
Okay.
I wanted
because it's about that time. It's 2 beers in. I may just start talking about how great I am. You know why it's called the Ray Gibson Show?
You know why I named it after myself?
Let's talk about me.
This whole COVID thing, I haven't really been able to express myself about it. It's just, it feels like everything's all made up. Not COVID is not real. I believe COVID is real, but the things people are doing, they're making it up as they go along, and it's like maybe leaders are following other leaders and seeing what other places are being.
I guarantee.
Oh, okay. Well, they're doing it there. It might work here. Let's try it out, and then if people don't like it, then we'll change it tomorrow.
Because science. There was in Hawaii, and in Hawaii they're having a real problem with this. And I'm not talking about numbers of people that have got COVID, things like that. I mean, they've just got real problems. They've got a Democrat governor there named Dave Iggy, and Iggy's got a bunch of other people. They had major fits and starts with contact tracing. They had an entire Department of Public Health that was not equal to the task of being able to manage COVID-19.
Right.
And so there were a whole lot of cockamamie rules that were coming out. Now, they closed the beach unless you were swimming, but there weren't any clear instructions on whether you could actually be on the beach until you got to the water. So there were people that were told they could swim and exercise on the beach, but you could not stand on the beach unless you were fishing, in which case you had to be in the water. Well, how do you get to stand in the water with your fishing pole if you can't stand on the beach, at least for a while?
Condition 1A, right?
Oh, it was just terrible. There was a woman and I read this story, and I reread it a couple of times because I thought I was getting it wrong. She was walking near a park in Oahu, and she stepped temporarily on the sidewalk because, I don't know, traffic or something. She stepped temporarily on the sidewalk, and because the sidewalk was deemed internal to the park, she was ticketed for about $1,000. Now, end of the day, enforcement is one thing, and then the adjudication of the enforcement is the other. And they started tallying up the sheer volume of cases that judges in Hawaii simply threw out because they were stupid. no, we're not going to levy a $500 fine against a woman because she stepped on a sidewalk next to the park. That's not going to happen.
It's become ridiculous. Yeah.
It has. And there's all kinds of other places. You get these lockdown stories from, these liberal places where it doesn't seem like anybody's paying any attention at all to the science that says, okay, we're going to have a curfew. And thank God we never curfewed here. Because I would have bitten. I would have bitten through rebar on that.
I would have broken it many times.
But they were doing
Matt, sorry.
curfews in some spots.
I know what it is. No, I know what it is. It's
a wire.
It's I didn't connect the wire in the back, and for the life of me I cannot remember what the wire is. So
it's the Cat 6 with the crossover.
It's an aux cable. I just don't remember which one it was. But go ahead.
But anyway, so you got these guys that are in these lockdowns, except when you are walking your pet.
Yeah.
So the new thing now is the same way we got Grab and Grub and tweeters and whatever here. There are now apps that you can do to find a neighbor in the area that has a dog. So you go and you borrow the guy's dog for 20 minutes so that you can go outside and be out during the curfew and maybe go visit a friend or go get a drink or something like that with your pal's dog. And there's all these other things. Delivery people, right? So delivery people are obviously allowed to be out because, getting the Amazon shipment is more important than COVID. So there are places where they have begun to sell fake delivery person costumes. Nobody's going to say no to somebody if they think they're on the delivery. Which is another interesting thing that came out years before COVID, but there were a bunch of guys that did an experiment, and they say you want
another one?
Of course I do.
Hey, it's okay about that. We don't have to.
Yeah. The concept is 45 minutes old now.
It's okay. We don't have to listen to it anymore.
As they say in Japan, daijoubu.
Daijoubu.
But so you got all these crazy mitigation stories that are floating around. Whichever is the colder one. Where were we headed on the last?
COVID.
So this is the part where we're gonna have to scrub.
No, we keep it.
Oh, do we? Oh, is that the way? Okay,
we keep it.
Well, that's even that much more fun.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time I was telling you about Miss World?
Yeah.
Yeah. Scrub. Wait. Where in the program did you start talking?
Where? Actually, what minute? That was minute number 5.
She was Miss Universe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just talking about how COVID and people things are being made up along the way, and everything's conditional. You rent a dog or you go and find someone with a dog so you can go get.
And like I said, I was so delighted that we managed to make it from and the absurdness here ended at checkpoints.
Right.
And I intend to, as a part of whatever I do between here and the end of COVID, keep reminding people that they thought that was going to, flatten the curve by keeping people in line in traffic for between an hour and an hour and a half on Marine Corps Drive.
In between 2 traffic lights.
Yes.
Long.
Yes. So you've got all these people that are just, sitting there, and you got to do all this. And by the time, and the payoff of all of it was you got to somebody that was in the guard that was all hot and sweaty, didn't want to be there either, handing you a thing. Okay, if you have to be on the road, don't forget, wash your hands, wear a mask, social distance. And you're going, I wasted an hour and a half of this. We have now, as a society and a culture, gotten used to being in our cars, in lines with our hand out. Do you realize that tomorrow morning, when I wake up at 4, there will be people pulling into the last good spot in front of the Department of Revenue and Tax to get their government service?
Right.
And because
and why does it feel like DRT is like a prison?
Because, well,
what I mean.
All right, and Daphne Manson is a very good friend of mine. We're running buddies and everything like that.
I just want to understand how come it feels more secure than any other place.
Because it's not like there's vaccines there. It's just that there's a whole lot of business that needs to get taken care of. And they're dealing with the same mitigations. They have 50% occupancy, and they've got to do social distancing, and they've got to watch me to make sure I wear a mask on the inside. And so, on any given day, even before COVID-19, they were busy with people dealing with the bureaucracy. And now it's COVID-19. We got fewer people, and they were shut down for weeks and weeks and weeks.
And they're backed up.
And they're backed up like you wouldn't believe. And I'm going, when I was, and I told this story on the air this morning, in 1976, in May of 76, Typhoon Pamela hit Guam. I was in the 8th grade, and it was about 2 weeks before the end of the school year. Now, did they stop the school year and bring us back in the middle of summer and have us continue our education until we added the right number of days? No, because in those days they were smart and they said, school's over. Whatever grade you have, the day the Typhoon Pamela hit is the grade that's going to go on your report card, and we're finished. Good luck at Academy. Good luck at Father Duenas, especially you skinny mouthy guy. They're going to kick your ass every day freshman year at Father Duenas, and you know what? They did. But that was, people had, I think, more of a stronger sense of common sense back in those days. This is why are we going to add to our problems? Yeah. And instead of just, it's like when, the couple of people got boogers in the construction industry and they shut down the entire construction industry. Right. Why did we have to take that step? Why couldn't we just say, well, it wasn't the whole construction, it was just that camp. Right. So let's just shut that camp down. And so my buddy James Martinez wrote a letter that said basically that, and somebody, light bulb, bang, oh, right. We had a school with a couple of kids that got COVID-19. Did we shut down all of the schools on Guam? Right. Thank God, no. Right. A little bit more common sense. That was
today,
now.
Right?
In the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But it is uncommon. We've got kids that are going from their intermediate to final driver's license, as an example. And if I was the Ayatollah, I would go back to so they've got an intermediate driver's license? Okay, that's now a final driver's license. We don't need to have you come in and do anything with it. You want to start a business? We don't need you to come in and do the whole sign up the paperwork and then go see 18 people over at the one stop and then finally somebody signs it and then eventually you get a business license. So we're not going to do that. Tell you what, fill it out online, and when COVID's over, online, and when COVID's over, then we'll backfill some of the stuff. I mean, look, if you're not cooking meth, as far as we're concerned, you can have a good business.
You're legit.
You're legit. Yeah, you're legit. Are you making food? Maybe we ought to have somebody from environmental health come by and visit, before you serve that first meal. But otherwise, what are you going to do? A car washing service, a baby, baby watching? Are you going to be one of these new sanitizer companies that are going to be coming out? Good, you can do that, and we'll, as I say, we'll backfill all of the rest of this a little bit later on. In the meantime, if you've got the guts to start a business on Guam in 2021, by all means, go for it. So there's all of these places where we're trying to continue to live in the pre-COVID world while we're actually dealing with COVID. And we need to either suspend the bureaucracy or take it back to the easiest thing in the world. In 1978 or so, I took the first of 2 written exams for my driver's license. I failed the first one and nailed the second one. And then a week later, my Uncle Jim took me in the old Mariana Sales Datsun pickup truck to, and at the time we had cars with automatic transmission and power steering. But for my driving test, he gave me the store's pickup truck. Armstrong steering, we called that, and it was standard transmission. And I got into the car with a guy from Rev and Tax at Camp Assen and drove from there to the RCA building where he had me execute a parallel parking. Mm-hmm. He said, "Good job. Okay, you passed. Take me back to the park." And that was it. It was a 3-step process. And then a couple of days later, I went and had my picture taken, and they laminated my picture on a driver's license because that's the way it was back in the old days. It wasn't anything scientific or counterfeit proof. Look, we just got to get the kid a driver's license. And part of the reason back in those days we wanted kids to get a driver's license at 16 is not so that they could go hang out with their girlfriend. Mine at the time was an Evangelista girl that lived up in Mataguac, Chigo, and that was fun. But the other reason why is so that I could get a job. Right. So that a 16-year-old could get a job
and get there.
One of the McDonald's at the time. I worked at Al Israel's Diana's store for a while, Gentleman's Quarters, which was another happening spot back in the old days. It was, business was starting to come up. People needed employees. Kids needed to get jobs. But now here we are, we're holding people back from being able to get a job and drive their own car to their work and help support the rest of the family, which is going to be vital in the next couple of years because, well, you know, we've got the whole intermediate, we've all got the step process that we've got to do for driver. You had to do that.
Mm-hmm. No, I had just missed the intermediate process. I was quote unquote
producer. Your producer doesn't have a driver's license because he never went through the process.
Yeah, I was grandfathered into the old process.
You're lucky. Actually, it's
by knowing some people.
He's an adda. It's okay. We all loved Uncle Ben. You know, that guy could open doors, but he could close them too. So that's the reason why we have all of these things, and yeah, I don't know what the whole rest of the story is or how we're gonna get to the end of it, but you know, we've got to realize that these are new and challenging times for people, and it's like they're just not. They're just not. You know, why do I need to get a driver's license every year? Why would I need to get a renewal? Yeah. Fortunately, this year I don't. But there are states in the country where over a certain age. Yeah. Here, you know what? You can have a driver's license in 10 years.
You just took the thought right out of my head. I have an Arizona driver's license, expires in 50 years. I got it in 2005.
Yeah.
And it expires in 2055.
Why? Yeah. And why not? Yeah. You know, your face isn't going to change that much. It's not like you will forget. You know, within 3 months of the renewal date, you're going, oh my God, I forgot how to drive. What's the red one mean? What's the red sign mean? Oh my God, the triangle-y one. What is that? Oh, it's a yield. Is it a stop? Is it? I don't know what it is. Those lights on the signs. What do those mean?
What does this pedal do?
Oh my God! Well, yeah, I'm doing that with my daughter now. Miami is 16, and you know we try to get her on the road as much as possible, and she's already to the point where you know at first when we were doing these little missions and teaching her to drive, you know I was the guy. I got my hand on the Jesus bar up here, and I got the oh shit pedals down here. Why don't I have a brake on this side? But you know anymore she's now when she's in the car. You know, she's got her thumb. She plays, listen to music, sound like tennis shoes going around in the dryer, and I'm on my phone. You know, it's okay checking out Tinder while my daughter's driving the car. It's groovy. and I, you know, she's like, "How am I doing, Dad? Are we there yet?
Yeah. Did we live? Did we survive?"
and she's awesome because she knows how her old man is. She's like, okay, where am I driving to today? I said, I don't know, but we're going to end up. And before I finish the sentence, she goes, I know, Carabao. We're going to go to Carabao. It's just a matter of time. That's right. And you're driving yourself to the house? Yep, that's right, Daddy. This is perfect. This is perfect.
We're good.
Now we got to bring the drinking age back to 18.
Yeah. If you get pulled over, you don't know me. Yeah.
No. Who?
Who is that?
I don't know. It's Bill Gibson's granddaughter, something like that. But the crazy times, and I'm happy that we're living through them, and I'm glad that a lot of people. And feeling like a growing number of people trust me to give them the first draft of it. That's
sure.
Which is how I always kind of look at this. You know, the radio, it's the business of immediacy. You know, I get yesterday's newspaper. Basically, when I got a newspaper in the morning, these are yesterday's stories, last night's stories. Mm-hmm. So I get to spend some time, reach out to the people that are in the stories, get this morning's update, and write the first draft of what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the day, if I'm lucky. Otherwise, if I'm not, you know, I don't have to talk about news all the time. This is not your grandfather's news talk station. You know, I think one of my most fun interactives I had today, because Valentine's is coming up this weekend, and the question was, what are some of the most romantic spots on Guam? Now, this does not generate phone calls, and it doesn't need to because it's 2021. Facebook Live. I've got all these people telling me about what they thought when they were young and courting, what some of the most romantic spots are on Guam, and what some of the new places are. And to the villagers of Malesso, that little heart thing that you guys put out there, nice. That's nice. That's nice. You know, all the other villages are going, oh, gosh. A heart. Why don't we do a heart? You know, Molesta's you guys are so far ahead of this.
Damn it.
Right? And the Christmas tree made out of coconut ornaments?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Seen that too.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got families down there, bring the kids, they're doing art on coconuts, and I'm going, why didn't I think of this? You know, this is my mayor's Rudy Paco. Hey, Rudy, what up? What happened? What do we have? We get But I will say, I love my mayor, Rudy Paco. And I'll give Rudy some. This is Crystal's dad, and Rudy's awesome as a mayor. And I can't stop.
I've met him a few times.
I can't stop singing his praise.
On the trails.
No, he's just a groovy guy, right? And we're not that far off in age. But he recognizes some of the problems that homeowners are going to have. And I reached out to him a couple of weeks ago because I've got on again, off again yard work projects, and sometimes I've got more than a couple of pickup truck loads of garden waste to get rid of, and I don't know where to take it, so I usually just dump it off, in somebody else's village. So like, really, where around here can we take this?
I'm only laughing because
it's true.
Everybody can attest. Everybody can attest to some form or way of dropping something off.
I'm not doing it with white goods, and I've never abandoned a vehicle on Route 8.
Yeah. Or a puppy.
So far.
Or a puppy, right?
Ooh, that's just bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully Gain didn't hear that.
Special place in hell for something like that. But even that's a big problem, and I don't know what to do about it because I passed by in Tiedzen, or have passed by in Tiedzen, and over by they've got the shipping warehouses over here, and one of the old cul-de-sacs from back when it was Naval Air Station,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a bunch of wild dogs that live there, and every once in a while I'll see folks, pull up and they've got trays of old food or something like that, scraps that they leave out there for the dogs. And I'm going, man, why don't you just catch the dog and take it to Gain, or catch the dog and take it home? Because you're in my mind, you're not really doing a lot to help these guys out. I had a dog that started living at my house, and everybody said, "Oh, that's Ray's dog." I said, "That's not my dog." The reason why that dog lives at my house is because there was one of these do-gooders that was bringing him food every day, and parked the car near the house. And as far as the dog was concerned, he was getting food at my house every day.
Right.
He didn't make the distinction that I lived there, and everyone I'd come home, dog starts barking at me. I'm like, whoa, hey. I'd come to some kind of...
Better go to land management and check whose property this is. This is my property, sir.
And it got to a point where I was beginning to get scared because when people would walk in front of the house, he'd start chasing them. And I'm going, that dog's going to bite somebody, and everybody's going to go, that's Ray's dog. Again. Rudy Paco to the rescue.
I mean, but the dog population here on Guam, man, it's ridiculous, right? Over 50,000 dogs.
Yeah,
the biggest pack that I've seen was right outside Home Depot, and it had to be 20 dogs.
Yeah,
easy.
Yeah,
all super healthy dogs.
Because somebody's bringing them food. Somebody to bag of Alpo, rip it open, and then drive away. I get it. People love their dogs. There's a couple of people that I know. And they had recently, I want to say they recently did it here, although I could be mixing headlines. There are stories of people that will round up these dogs and then get donations, put them in little kennels, put them on airlines, and fly them out to other parts of the country where they've already been adopted. And I don't see why the same thing, if it hasn't been tried on a big scale, we might want to try doing it here because, frankly, nothing's cuter than a booney dog. That is great. I mean, they're great dogs. They're probably smarter.
Got those blue tongue, long ears.
Yep.
Short tails every now and then.
Little short, compact dogs. That there's no reason why we can take some pictures, put them up for adoption, and then about once every month, 2 months, put them on airplanes, and then send them out to the States where they've got these rescue programs that will then distribute them on the mainland.
I had no idea.
I don't know if that's going to take care of 60,000, but while we're putting them together, get all the females together, and I side with territorial veterinarian Tom Poole on this, is eliminate the capability of the female dogs.
Spaying.
Yeah, spay them, and then release them.
Yeah.
To whatever else happens, it's nature, but at least they won't be making new babies. You start the process, and you start doing more and more of these things, and maybe we might be able to get ahead.
Level out, right?
Yeah. But ask me, the stray dog problem is minor in comparison
to a lot
stray pigs.
Oh.
Stray pigs. Yep. There's real damage to the environment done by stray pigs. And I talked to a couple of people at the Department of Agriculture.
So what you were saying earlier was not far off from the truth.
No, chickens. You go up to Barragata Heights. Barragata Heights, right? It's like Hollywood on Guam, right? That's what people think. But you go up to Barragata Heights, and it's amazing the number of chickens that they've got in the place. Now, you can think, well, are chickens nuisances? I don't personally think so. But I think it's just funny that you've got this place where, there's significant money lives up there, and there's, all these Tony properties and all this other stuff. And you've got all kinds of feral cats that have made deals with the chickens, the cat gangs and the chicken gangs, so they all kind of get along and they don't chase each other. So it's funny to go up there, and you've got cats everywhere. It's like Bonifacio Global City, and you've got chickens running around all over the place. It's just one of the, in my mind, one of the things that's just so cool to live on Guam. Well, what's next? Carabao, right?
Yeah.
We'll start getting carabaos up in the village. Perez Acres is going to have carabaos in it.
Well,
Palo Verde. That's where I think we ought to move the chicken population to. Well,
Ajanya has a pretty good chicken population.
Yes.
And I think I'm seeing the same chickens because I'm starting to observe that roosters always have 3 hens accompany him at all times. 2 to 3 hens. Oh, maybe
never done the agriculture.
Maybe make that observation about wild chickens. But
Yep.
That's what I've been observing. I don't know if I'm seeing the same 4 chickens, 3-4 chickens, but it seems as an ongoing thing.
Dude, they all kind of look the same. And, it's like they all get near to the KFC down the street. Just kind of look around. Okay, they got nothing for us today. So you've got guitars in here. Who plays?
I do. I used to play before I started this podcast. I was really deep into music. I love to sing. Play minimal guitar.
Yeah.
I mean rhythm, a lot of rhythm, and ever since I started the podcast, music's taken the back burner, and this has become my love, my passion.
Oh, because it's easier than playing the guitar.
yeah.
You don't get calluses. There's no cuts on the
You don't have
fingers.
to pack up everything, go to the bar. But we were playing 5 nights a week, whether it was a full band or happy hour or whatever.
See, that's something I've always tried to encourage wherever I was. Is, the support for live local music. And one of my great disappointments is when we're done with this, I am going over to Moses, and on any given night at Moses, you got the big restaurant crowd over here, you got a dozen people over at the bar, and that little alcove area, and the music that would come out of that spot was, I always thought, great. And it's not. It's not the standard, a couple of guys and a girl, chinink, doing their versions of songs. We were getting kids that were doing originals, and it always sounded so good. And there's some great vocalists that came out of there.
Yeah, the last 5 years, I gotta say, even when I started this, we've seen this evolution of original music come out of Guam, and people are continually making music, and
refine the process.
Jed is one of them, right? He's constantly.
Oh my God, Jed! Yeah, Jed.
I've had Jed on the show a few times.
Yep.
And I've watched his evolution from when he was working at the ice cream shop to being on radio, or just becoming independent and then being on radio, and it's really cool to see that now he's developing his own studio. He's mainly a producer now, and but he's still putting out tracks.
So what I dig about Jed, and let's polish his shoes a little bit more for this, is that he loves the technology. He's a technology kuya as well. So we did a couple of mukbangs over at Chili's, and I'm like, well, I don't have the equipment. He says, I do. I got it. I got to shoot cameras. We'll just do this on the phone, and I'll just mic everybody up, and we'll do these wireless things. I'm like, good boy, good, man, you got this. And so he loves the technology, and is one of these guys that is able to take the technology and then turn it into art, which to me is always fascinating, right? I just love the way that certain guys can just take the two systems that don't look like they're the same and then integrate them. And then pretty soon you got something magical that comes out of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of the guys, Joe Guam, I cannot not watch Joe when he's in the room, because he goes in there, and the way he's doing loops and sequencers and managing the pedals and taking requests
live.
What is this? How are you managing all of this stuff? But he's got, he's got this multi-track thing in his head that he's able to do it with. I mean, I would have.
He's an engineer, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a project guy too. But for me, it would be just a struggle going chord and sing at the same time. Change chords and sing the lyrics at the same time. What are we doing here? But this guy makes it sound like there's 20 pieces of 20 other musicians behind him.
Not only rhythm, but he's riffing the ukulele.
Yeah.
Nothing.
The way that and we're not talking about guys that we've imported from someplace else. These are kids from here,
homegrown,
that have got all of it. So that, and they're you combine that with local music, local attitude.
Yeah, you got John Dank, you got the guys from Fat Tofu, right? Jordan Hardy.
Yep.
I don't know if you ever heard of Jordan Hardy.
Where did I see him?
He's around my age. He came out. He's from Matala, and I know him from Matala and Fat Tofu, but he also went to FD Boy, and this guy he's bringing in records, and now he sells records over at Looking Out.
Wicked.
Yeah, and
Wicked.
so it's just his life has just evolved around music. And
what was
and
the
it's
name
cool
of the girl that was singing with Big Ben? She's in Vegas now. You know who I'm talking about?
Imani.
Yeah,
man.
So I remember it was the Liberation festivities, and we were at Proa.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting down there with a cold bud in my hand and watching these guys going, this is Guam town.
Yeah, she was playing with Big Ben, Vince Mesa.
Yeah.
And her.
And she just closed her eyes and started. I mean, you want to talk about being able to play an instrument is one thing, but recognizing that your vocal cords are an instrument, and she did, was incredible. And she understood the dynamics of the microphone. And this is something that, I try to train into anybody that's worked at my radio stations. This is the extension of the human ear. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you want to get up close and personal and soft on it. And sometimes you want to back up and holler and sing like Whitney Houston at the top of it. But a lot of people don't know what those parameters are. And Imani had that built in. She got it from the start. And I was blown away. And every day, golly, I saw her.
Just her tone, too.
Yeah, well,
we had
and then you got those sleepy eyes.
yeah.
But I remember seeing her a couple of times over at Moses. In fact, the last time I saw her was at Moses, and she told me that she was leaving town to go and work out there. And I'm like, well, I'm disappointed that whatever she was looking for, she couldn't get here. But the other thing is that she's continuing to make music and still dropping tracks into the internet so people can hear them.
Yeah, for sure. The last time I saw her was my girlfriend's birthday. We had Big Ben and her come and play, and everyone was just like mesmerized by the way they're, just by their style. Even Big Ben's style was like.
Well, I'm not going to say that's the best music to get stoned to, but.
Top five.
I don't smoke.
It ranks up there.
I was going to say I don't smoke. I can't. So recreational marijuana. I'm not going to say it's changed my life, but there's parts of it that make it more interesting because I've got access to more marijuana now than I ever did before in my life, and I still don't smoke it. I don't know where somebody got the impression that no, Ray smokes.
I think it's the beard. It might be the beard. It might be the beard.
The Anwar Sadat beard.
Right.
Sorry, it's a lot of. Reference might go over your head. So, but everybody, hey Ray, you want some dope? Yeah, okay. And so they'll give me some really, really good stuff. You can tell by looking, it's got the sticky on it, and I'm going, okay, this will be great. But I don't. If I smoke, it's at home, and only if I know I don't have anything to do for like 20 hours. Because you never know how it's going to hit you anymore. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, there were two kinds of marijuana on Guam. There was no good marijuana and homegrown. That was
the one that still had the leaves on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, they got more shakes than anything else, right? And that was the kind. Every once in a while, somebody say, "Okay, well, there's some good stuff coming in from Palau." Okay, and that was always nice. But in the very least, it was consistent. You knew what you were going to get. You could always figure out what the buzz was going to be. And then all of a sudden, it gets to be here we are in 2020, 19, or whatever. And everybody's 420 in because medicinal is green light, recreational is green light, and there's all kinds of different stuff that's out there right now, and I have no idea from one to the next how it's going to affect me. And so I'll be sitting on the beach with my boys and somebody hand me this and say, "You take a toke." Is this going to make me paranoid? Will it put me to sleep? Is this going to be a glorious buzz, or am I going to be pissed off at everybody? So you've got to be very specific with me now because everything has changed. It's not the same way it used to be.
The landscape has changed.
Oh my God! And so we don't know that. We don't know that. So more often than not, I turn it down. And even when I do get stuff that I take home with me, my daughter's not listening, is she?
Well, as long as you're not saying where you hide it. Or if you hide it.
No.
Right?
No.
It's
nothing in the laundry.
It's
silver
sitting
box.
nonchalantly right there on the kitchen table.
So, it's like, oh, okay. Then more often than not anymore, you get to be a certain age and just smoke. Go to sleep.
That's the challenge of the cannabis board, though, right? Is to be able to have these dispensaries and have these businesses be able to distribute the right dosages and the right strains to people who want it. Because if you go to dispensaries in the States, I don't know if you've ever been to a dispensary in the States. You go into a dispensary in the States and like, all right, man, so what are you looking for exactly? You want to feel like happy? You want to do stuff? You're looking to chill and calm down and just relax after your day.
Something is a little bit euphoria, but just a hint of regret. Can I get to just a hint of regret that I'm looking for here?
That's our hybrid strain that we can see, and you can see the trichomes like hanging out here.
Oh, okay.
That's too much experience.
It's gonna irk somebody. But have you been to the Crystal place over at Tumont Sands?
No.
There's a Crystals place at Tumont Sands.
Like a Swarovski?
No. That's closed. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Upstairs,
those are actual crystals.
Other side, catty corner from where the what do you call it? The Chili's is. There is and they sell like rocks.
Okay.
There's rocks. There's pretty rocks there, and
like gem.
Yeah,
gems, right?
like hippie crystals.
Right.
And you walk in there and you look at something and say, "Oh, what does that do? Oh, well, that's good for balance." Or that one is good for, if you've got to mentally heal, that's a good one there for that. If you've got anxieties, then you want to do this, that, and the other. And it's exactly, I was there last week, and the description that you gave of the dispensaries in the States matches exactly the conversation about these crystals. Now, I think I know one of the owners of the place. Hi, Mitzi. And it was totally groovy, and I spent a lot of money in there, just FYI. But because they had pyramids. See, I'm giving crystal people a hard time, but I bought a pyramid because I believe, it's one of those things that was, popular in the 70s, the power of the pyramid.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is it made of anything in particular?
Rock.
Okay.
It was made of some kind of a pretty rock.
Yeah, I lived in Tucson, and Tucson has the largest gem show in the nation.
Yeah,
right?
I bet.
And you go to Sedona, and they're all about that energy stuff, right? And the way certain rocks.
I'm supposed to take it up to Mount Lamlam on a dawn or something like that, and then completely energize myself.
Yeah, there's a guy before I left Tucson gave me these crystals, or not. I want to say it's like a quartz. It looks like a quartz. It's very translucent quartz, and he said it was actually picked by Tibetan monks on their when they go on their little journeys into the mountains, and then they find these things, they chip it out, and they go and sell it at the gem show, and they buy it, and he bought it at the gem show.
Crazy.
He gave it to me. So and if it's true or not, I don't know.
How much do you want to believe?
Every time I rubbed it, I was like, shit,
How much do you want to believe?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, there used to be head stores here. There was a place. It'll come to me in a second, and I'll remember it, and I'll mention the name. But we used to have one or two head stores, and they were also big on, you'd be able to go in there and buy rocks and, make beads and things like that. And one of my favorite one was called a worry stone. It was basically a piece of rock, flat for the most part, except there was an indentation so that you could, with your fingers, rub the indentation more, and that was a worry stone. And the idea was that you take whatever stress you had and you transfer it to the stone by rubbing it. And I thought, well, this is crazy. They also had roach clips that were shaped like alligators that I always thought was good.
Are you talking about the jaw reggae shop?
Oh God, no! The place I'm thinking of predates it by easily 50
back in
years.
the day. Okay.
Yeah. But and then something weird happened in the middle of the 1970s where you could go to a head shop and buy yellow or white rolling papers. Didn't have the little wire in it yet for crutching it. But I
know nothing about that.
I heard in the annals back in the day. I was back in but you could there was just basically someplace where you could go and buy stuff so that you didn't get the smell of marijuana on your hands.
Right.
And incense. You could buy incense too. And then there was a place up the street right across from where Pokey Fry is, Golden Island Music. And they did it was a record store. You could go in there and buy vinyl, which was cool. And there was a guy named Bill, long-haired hippie guy, and he was behind the counter, and we always thought that there was something in behind the curtains that Bill was also selling, and who knows, maybe there was, but you could go in there and I'm trying to remember the name of the Zori. There was a specific brand of Zori that you could buy there, and another head shop down the street, a little bit closer to where Proa used to be, and in that head shop you could buy skateboard gear, or this was a big deal, a waterbed. You could buy water beds.
I can't believe water beds were actually a thing.
You've never slept on one?
I've never slept on one.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, for years.
Is it that great?
You don't get that motion of the ocean feeling all the time, and a lot of people were, kind of confused about that. But the idea was it was not a hard mattress, and your body could conform to it. They were also, for the most part, very, very cool, because there was water inside and a very thin layer of vinyl on top of that. And if you could get the right setup, God, there used to be a big waterbed store up in Dededo where the Payless is now. And if you got the right setup, it made for a very comfortable night's rest. You could get waveless waterbeds.
So where it doesn't...
It had baffles on the inside so that, you fill it up with water and it did not slosh around. But even that was cool. Mine was... It had an inflatable.
Mine, I love it. Mine.
I had. Well, I kind of liked the movement of the bed, but mine it had an inflatable around the side of it. It was not rigid, so everything was kept in place by air, basically. And that was a great way to sleep. That was a terrific way to sleep.
How long did you have something like that?
Years for a long time. For a long time, and it wasn't a question of fashion or anything like that. It was just, this is a nice way to sleep.
So the big question is, how often do you have to change the water?
Hardly ever.
Really?
Hardly ever, because you only need to change the water if air gets into it. But once you've sealed it, there's not going to be any air getting into it. It's just basically fresh water in there all the time. You wouldn't necessarily need to do anything like
typhoon hits, you're like, to the water bed, fill up the buckets, quick.
Yeah. You can flush. You can flush with the water. But there's just a unique feeling that I'll describe that maybe a handful of people that are still around will remember. Is the idea of we've got the garden hose, and there was an adapter that went into a screw-in on the bed, and you'd sit there for about a half hour and watch this thing get up. Now the most important thing was to get all of the air out of the bed. So you've got you've inflated the ring around the bed, and then you put the hose in, and pretty soon, the air starts to pop up, and you need to get all of the bubbles out. We did not want bubbles in the beds,
because that's what would make the water.
It would sloshy. It would get sloshy, and you'd be able to hear the bubbles moving around, which is not conducive to a good night's sleep. Those were incredible times. Oh, man. One of these days, next time I come back, I'll tell you about Gibson's.
I remember Gibson's.
J&G Payless Supermarket.
I don't remember that. Matt, I know what it is. Matt, unplug the aux cable behind the computer.
Yes, I did that.
It still don't work?
Gotta troubleshoot.
Yeah. We didn't troubleshoot. We didn't expect we were gonna.
We'll do it again. Tell you what, I'll come back, and then we can start with that. We'll start. We'll come back, and
I love it.
No, but that's the way it is with friends, right? That's the way it should be with friends. Is that, go away, and it might be a couple of months before I come back, and we'll come back, and I'll go, okay, the deep fake, the Joe Rogan deep fake, and we'll talk about monkeys playing hockey.
Yeah, and that's how we'll start it.
That's the way it should be. That I think is the way it should be.
Yeah, I don't want you to. It's been a couple hours.
Has it?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's about a couple hours, yeah, Matt. Yep. So.
Do people watch from the beginning to the end?
People do listen from the beginning to the end. Yeah, I haven't dropped about 30 episodes on YouTube, on the video version.
Yeah.
But all the audio's on, and people listen, surprisingly. It's more of the guest than they want to listen to me.
No.
So that's why, like, doing the monologue stuff, I've only done 1 or 2 monologue episodes. Yeah. I went to Thailand one year and I talked for 45 minutes, and I don't really know how that went, but it's just something. It was like a record, a keeping record of my experience of going over there and whatnot. But I've learned that it's people want to hear the people that they know, right? The people that they're familiar with. And the people that they may be fans of, and
they live vicariously through us,
right? And they may not be fans of me, but because they know the person, it's a reason for them to listen all the way through, and it's cool. And for me, it's either way. I have fun a lot of fun doing.
Whether anybody's listening or not, whether anybody's watching, if you're watching, great. And I'm
One
glad.
person, 100 people, 1,000 people,
Yep.
it don't matter.
No, I'm exactly the same way. I'm exactly the same way. I've been on the air when I know that it's me and the guy in the studio. We're the only ones talking to each other. There's nobody else listening right now for whatever reason. It might be something else happening somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's Super Bowl Monday. Super Bowl Mondays are those kinds of days where you go, I don't even know why I'm here. But I'm going to keep doing it because there might be one guy out there that says that, okay, this is the day that I'm going to spend with Ray. And you know, I tell you what, I've been lucky, 40 years, man and boy, in this business, and I've never had a show where I said, well, that sucked. I've always been able to come back, and oddly enough, on some of what I would consider my worst days, I'll get an email from somebody and going, you were right on today. I appreciate it. And if there's one thing that you take away from the show on any given day, if there's one person that I can reach out and help, if there's one topic that I can talk about that I think illuminates an issue that needs to be taken care of, then I'm happy. I've done my job.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then I can keep coming back and making stupid, ridiculous amounts of money that support all of my other crazy, just ridiculous habits.
Just being honest about it, Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a boy from Guam, and we have there's a word that we have here, and I don't know that any other culture has, but I've also enjoyed being pikaroo.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Isn't that a fun word?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can get away with a whole bunch of crap just being pikaroo, and I'd get in trouble, or sometimes you don't get in trouble. It doesn't, but
sometimes things slide.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of things slide. Yeah.
You never know what it's going to be, but just gotta because courage is always rewarded, as I like to say, and sometimes you got to do ridiculous things, and because you never know what the ridiculous result is going to be, and so that for me, that's always been part of who I am. Part of who I am.
Oh, hold on, let me move him.
What the old dog found his way to get off the bed. Oh my. All right, for those of you that are watching, wondering what the noise was, there is an old dog in the house.
Yeah, so he's gonna be 15 this year.
Oh,
About a month ago, he started having seizures, and he's been on medication. They put him on Valiums, they put him on phenobarbital, and he was heavy in the sedatives.
yeah.
And right now he's on potassium bromide, and it's a struggle as an owner. I've had him all 14 years.
You're not the owner. You're
He owns me.
Yeah, you're best friends that just don't speak the same language.
Yeah, and you know what? I tell people that I'm like, I didn't train him. He trained me to tend to his needs and make sure that he's taken care of. And he's towards that last leg of his life, and I'm trying to make him as comfortable as possible. But he's still trying to do whatever he wants, right?
And he's still got puppy in him, so that's the thing. Yeah, I don't envy the year that you have in front of you. That's going to be a tough time. I had Dog Mocha was mine. I 16-year-old Cocker Spaniel at the end of his life.
The true battle is and now me and Matt were talking about this earlier. Is like when is the right time to put an animal down, right? And when is it right, and when that threshold is so blurred, and it's so blocked off with emotion, right, and experience with whether it be a person or an animal, but mostly an animal, because you can only put animals down, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the struggle that I've been going on with him, is that there's some days I'm like, hey, come boy, and he'll come to me and say, fuck,
awesome, yeah.
How can I put this?
Nothing wrong with this dog. Yeah.
He's just old, And there's some days like, man, he's kind of suffering, right? And so it's.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. When Mocha died, it was best of times, worst of times. Mocha died in the arms of the veterinarian, and that's the way it ended up for Mocha. But otherwise, I don't know that if it came to the decision that I would have to make about, well, the dog's in pain, dog is suffering. But then I read something after Mocha passed away, and that the dog would would want to be with you in his last seconds, no matter what. No matter what, and you would rob, if you euthanized the dog, you would rob him of that last bit of love that he wanted to give to you.
Yeah, man. And I also read something that it's dogs will live longer than they really should because they want to be around you.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh my gosh.
And anybody knows anything about dogs knows this about them. They're a high threshold for pain.
Yeah.
And their preference is going to want to be with you. But I'm. Like I said, I was spared the difficulty of that, and even the other dog that I loved the most. And for those of you that are watching, my house smells like me. It doesn't smell like a cat. It doesn't smell like a dog or anything like that, because I don't know that I could handle that kind of pain again. I lost a Doberman. There was a pretty girl Doberman that we adopted a few years ago, and smart dog, super affectionate, and just died one day, just up and died. Wasn't poisoned or anything like that. Sometimes that happens with bigger breeds as they get a heart problem, and there's one symptom, and it's death. Mm-hmm. And that was apparently the problem with Pago, but just inconsolable. I was inconsolable for that. So everybody says, "Oh, you need a dog." Can't take the pain.
Yeah, people are saying, you should get another dog after him. I was like, I don't think I can do this again.
No.
Like,
so I figured it out.
Going through this, the emotional, not even, I don't even want to say burden, but just the emotional toll that it takes on you. Yeah.
Mm. So I figured it out though. At some point, and I don't know where it is, but I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm 59. My grandfather died at 59, and Pop died at this age. Mom died at this age. So I'm trying to figure out where the sweet spot is. And it might be in another 15 years or so. So I'm thinking maybe this year, next year, year after, I'll get a dog and we'll both die at the same time. That's my plan. I'm going to try to figure out the mathematics.
I didn't mean to laugh about that.
No, but because in my mind, that way then I don't have to deal with the loss of a pet that I would have had for.
You guys are junk and pony.
Years.
Who's going first?
Who's going first? Let's go together.
Me and you.
Let's go together. I know.
Hey, I choke you out. You choke me out.
Oh, now that reminds me of a girl. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Matt.
Matty B. Switch cameras, man.
No.
Don't forget you did.
Yeah.
No.
That's a good way to end a podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this.
No,
Honestly,
I'm glad we finally got together. Like
Yes.
I said, I remember we were talking about different technology and different things that you could use to generate a podcast and where it needed to go. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, there's Master Random, and I'm watching a steady parade of really interesting people that go through the podcast. And I'm glad I get to bookend those guys. Good for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and it just gives me the opportunity to sit down with people like you and people that I've never met or otherwise would have shared a conversation with if it wasn't for this show. And I'm grateful. Honestly, I look at you as one of the talk show greats, right?
Yeah, blah, blah,
and the way you looked at the greats when you were starting, this is me looking up to you.
I'm a guy from the village with an interesting job, and I was lucky enough to get a little bit of the education from people that taught me how to communicate it better, and and self-taught and all of that. But the fun is that we get to do this kind of thing, and that somebody out there is watching the broadcast and going, God, he's full of shit, but I can't stop listening because you're not sure what he's going to say next. You're not sure where the conversation is going to go. And I hope for the last couple of hours or so that this has been a fun conversation for everybody. And if you like it, thumbs up on whatever platform we're on. Share on whatever platform we're on.
And
I'll be back.
Promote your show. Promote everything you got.
So I do a thing. It's at 93.3 on FM, 104.3 HD, Facebook, YouTube, thepoint.gu. The goal is any speaker anytime, any screen anytime for the broadcast, which has been working out. So that's me. But I'm also lucky enough to work with some really, really great professionals. We've got on Boss 104, Daryl Izama. Pika's, everybody's favorite DJ. This guy's, Paula from the beginning. Donna D in the afternoon, just an incredible voice and a sharp talent. Albert Juan, who trained me at the transmitter in Barragata Heights all those years ago. So that's Boss 104. Star 101.
Radio classic.
Yeah, Star 101. Jed is, the social media influencer, but really clever and creative guy doing mornings on Star.
Very creative guy.
I got John Palau, who I've always wanted to work with. This guy is like 17 different versions of Cuxicated, you know, like from around here, but Palau Cuxicated, and then he's got, you know, it's hard to pin him down. And one of my favorite things about listening to him is I don't know where he's going next, which is fun. And one of the other great new talents that is out there, island music scene, is a girl named Sean Z. Works on Star 101 in the afternoons. And we've been working with her for a number of, for actually quite a long time, and developing what is I think an incredible sound. She's got a beautiful voice, and she's, you know, totally down with island music and reggae and that kind of thing, and knows how to mix it in with contemporary tunes. So, you know, between Boss and Star, Bob Klitsky works with me in the afternoons on the point, and there's so many other cool things that we want to do. You know, we've got, as you pointed out, Boss 104 is an HD station, which means I can do HD and then sub channels. Yep. Star 101 is going to be HD, and I'll be able to do sub channels on that. And the fun is trying to figure out what do we modulate? What sound do we want to modulate? What do we want to carry? What are the voices are out there? Which is also an interesting challenge. Even in talk radio, Rush Limbaugh has terminal cancer. He's going to die. He's got lung cancer.
But he's still going.
He's still. Oh, it's amazing. He's still going. But when he dies, you know, the commitment that I've made in my head is I'd like to fill that time with another voice on the radio. I'd like to get another local voice to replace the time that we play Rush Limbaugh. And I don't know who that is. I don't know what the sound is going to be. Somewhere out there is somebody's practicing. Somebody out there, somewhere out there, somebody is playing with
audio.
Yeah, with a concept that's going to be great. And the answer is whatever you got. I'd like to hear it. I want to hear what people have got to say. I want to hear what incredible, how we're going to take. When I was a kid, radio was like music. We'd play songs on the radio, and best radio stations were the ones that were playing Double Dutch Bus and Rapper's Delight and you know, Shalimar, Earth, Wind and Fire, any number of things that were hot at the time. And now we're in a whole different world with Spotify and a bazillion streaming radio stations that you can get by. But you know, it still comes back down to the question: how do I build a radio station? How do we create programming, a music mix that's going to be attractive to the people that live here, maybe even attractive to people that are off island? And the answer is, I don't know. Somewhere out there, somebody's putting together the ultimate Spotify playlist.
100%.
Yeah, and who's that? And how do we take that? How do we take those songs, curate them on the air so that they're meaningful? Because anybody can put just, you know, a random podcast together. Not
a master random podcast,
but you know, a random playlist together, and every fifth song might be cool, but the other three songs that were cool that you didn't know they were cool because nobody was there curating it for you.
Right.
That's the important part. And then we go back to the original premise. Shalimar wasn't cool by itself. Earth, Wind and Fire wasn't cool by itself. Rapper's Delight wasn't cool by itself. Maybe a little bit. Ice Ice Baby wasn't cool by itself. There were guys on the radio that curated those songs and helped make them cool, that explained why they were cool. And that's where we need to go back today is you know, there's incredible music out there. You know, my favorite hour on the air in the week is the Discoveries on Spotify, right? What else is out there? What's cool? But sometimes I feel like I'm missing the what's cool because nobody's telling me what's cool. I got to ask my daughter, why is this a cool song, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, and that's where I'd like to go. You know, as I close in on not the end of my career, because I'm going to be doing this until they make me stop. But you know, as I get towards the end of what it is that I want to do, I want to be able to train people to be able to be the cool guy on the radio that tells people why these musical discoveries are cool, and then keep coming back for more. Yeah. That's the fun. For if you're wondering who it was for me, Johnny Gerber was the guy. Johnny Gerber was started off as the guy that worked at the radio station mowing the yard underneath the tower at the old KUAM building in Ordot. Went to Vietnam, discovered cool, came back early 70s, and everybody on Guam.
Hey man, can you help him lay down?
Listened. No, he's cool. Everybody on Guam listened to Johnny Gerber.
Yeah,
he was the guy. He was the voice. If
And
you were,
he started out from outside, coming inside.
yeah, absolutely,
Did it.
absolutely. He was, and he was the epitome of cool.
Yeah.
He did it all. And he could do stand-ups. He had to, when he was in radio, he had to have a technical ticket so he could do electronics. I mean, the guy was just an all-around broadcaster. I was in awe of him. And, he was the guy that for whatever time I was cool, he was the guy that kind of pushed me into that. And there's other guys out there that got cool. Maybe it's Jed, maybe it's you, maybe it's Johnny. I don't know, but somewhere out there is the next cool guy. And I want whoever it is you think you are, come by the radio station across in DPW, wear a mask or don't, and fill out an application.
Right. You know, I just do this because I just love talking to people.
It's fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Hear me.
Anytime, brother. Okay, shaking hands there.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna hand sanitizer. God, it's so gay.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
You know, it's a necessary precaution. You know, we don't want to assume.
You got an old sick dog. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, so I gotta go.
Okay.
I gotta go. I got thing.
Thank you so much, and let's do this again.
Oh yeah. Well, so Matt's the problem, right? Matt's got.
We didn't troubleshoot the sound before we started here.
It's my understanding because he Boo was down anytime. He's like, yeah, whatever, but Matt doesn't get off until such and such a time, and nobody else can run the equipment in real time or something along those lines. Matt's thing is he's working with troubled teens, or. What's it? No, but you didn't say it was troubled teens. It was the ladies at Club USA.
Yeah.
That aren't working right now. So that's okay. So that's what he's doing. It's like a halfway house or something like that.
Yeah.
Until the places open up and But that drive-through concept that you're working on, love it. Love it. I'm thinking, Food Truck Thursday. Instead of Food Truck Thursday, we'll do something with the
pick up your tacos after the tacos, right?
Like Fridays. We'll do a drive-through on Fridays. Okay, I gotta go.
Okay.
I gotta go.
Thank you so much.
Waiting for me at most.
Everybody, Ray Gibson on the show. Uncle Ray to me, but Ray Gibson to you. And we'll talk about the relation the next time we talk about.
Yep.
We have him on the podcast.
I'll ask my sister exactly what it is.
I asked my dad. He said from Grandpa.
There we go.
I was like, yep, that knows it. That. So until next time, thank you so much. This is the first podcast of 2021. Let's do this. We're gonna keep going. Peace out. Hey, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the podcast. I don't want your money. I just need your time, your ears, and your ratings and reviews of the podcast. Other than that, nothing. I want nothing from you. I enjoy doing this podcast so much. I want to keep doing it. Things in my life are changing quickly at a super fast pace, and this podcast is what I want to keep trucking along with me throughout my entire life. And if this is something that I can do forever and ever and ever until my last day, I will do it. So other than that, just take care of each other, be kind to each other, and see you another time.